Welcome and good morning from Johnson Valley, California. This is the 2022 Progressive King of the Hammers, powered by Optima Batteries. I am Miles Hasselquist, and we are about to kick off the week-long event here in Johnson Valley. But we are about to kick off the Toyo Tire Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. There is going to be action all day long today and tomorrow, and this is what you get to look forward to. How awesome was that? This is going to be a lot of fast fun in the desert for the next couple days. So we are just moments away from starting the Toyo Tire Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy for the 33-mile prologue, and then we'll restack the field all across the classes and send them out. So we're right around 10 o'clock, maybe 11, depends on how long this prologue goes. They'll go out for another 33-mile lap and then two more 84-mile laps. They'll be coming through the hot pits 3 times for a total of about 201 miles in the race. But with the prologue, it's about 234. But don't forget tonight, the Baja Jerky Class 11 Showdown presented by Empy. That should be right around 6 p.m. That'll be right here in the short course in the dark with the rigid lights glowing the course. It will have one sight lap, one qualifying lap, and then depends on how fast they are, they're going to race for about 40 minutes. And the Baja Jerky and Empy are going to throw them some cash. And then tonight we'll also have the Hired Gun Trio, the Droppers, and LA Dueling Pianos. So we are just moments away. So after this, well, we're going to give some our sponsors a little love, and then we'll give it to the legends themselves, Bob Bauer and Ricky Johnson. So here's a little thanks to our sponsors.
Renowned worldwide for reliability, the ARB air locker is a must-have for off-road drivers, including rock crawlers, overlanders, and racers. With over 100 applications, ARB Air Lockers gives your vehicle the traction you need to tackle virtually any challenge with the flip of a switch.
PCI Race Radios, the leader in off-road communications since 1972. Our equipment was developed for racing in Baja, perfected for enjoying the weekend with family and friends. Stay in touch with our track stereo intercoms, two-way radios, satellite communications, helmets and headsets. Find new adventures with GPS. Breathe clean air with Race Air Fresh Air System. PCI has the highest quality communications, navigation, and safety equipment, backed by the best support in the industry. Find us at hundreds of events each year, supporting our equipment on site and providing the PCI Weatherman Relay. See you in the desert.
Tradition of performance. For over 60 years, a brand synonymous with VWs. Known around the world for quality, speed, and innovation. IMPI, the first in VW speed equipment.
Welcome, world, to Johnson Valley, California, OHV Park. This is the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge powered by Monster Energy. As you can see, we just had the first car off the line starting the Prologue. So a little explanation on that. But before I do, I want to introduce my co-host at this moment, Bob Bauer. Bob, it's great to see you here. We got to work together at the Mint. I can't wait to hear some of your history, what it was like to race chariots in front of Caesar, and also against Ben-Hur, the original off-road series back in the day. But Bob Bauer, always a pleasure.
Well, you know, we thought that those chariots were pretty hot stuff because they got us away from the saber-toothed tigers.
That's right. You got to find a way to stay away from that stuff. But we have a lot going on today. As you can see, we're starting the Prologue. Let's talk a little bit about what we have in the B2, B3. So with B2, we got buggies. So you want to go down the list on that a little bit. We have, obviously, starting with the fastest is Class 10, but a little bit of history on the buggy side.
Well, a Class 10 car is probably one of the neatest cars in the desert because it's light enough, powerful enough, nimble enough, and if you get them ranked up, they go fast.
Exactly. And a lot of times we've seen down in Baja and stuff like that, a Class 10 car will come from way behind because they're so light, so nimble, but you got to ride them almost like somebody would ride a 125 two-stroke. You got to keep it on that pipe. Not a lot of horsepower, not much horsepower, and not a lot of torque. So you have to drive them very fast and a very much a momentum car.
And you have to be able to steer it and point it. It takes a little bit of suspension to get a 10 car through the deal, but when you get it dialed in, they're really pretty neat. I like them.
And if you look, we're looking at Justin Buckley in car 1064. And so with this Prologue, how it works, they're starting every 2 minutes. And then when they go, that's going to be a 33-mile loop, this is a qualifier as well. So whoever finishes the fastest in the Prologue gets to start up front, but then they start close together. So 1 and 2 will start side by side, 3 and 4, so on and so on.
Thing is, they're lining them up to take the Prologue by class in class order, all right? When they get done, they're going to resequence them based on how they did in the Prologue. So when we go to live, when the race is actually going on in their 84-mile laps, it's going to look like they've already been running for a while because they have.
Well, and also, so now let's talk about the B3. They're going to be qualifying a little later. As we're watching on screen, you can see all the 10 cars. Some are single seat, some are 2 seat. A lot of times back in the day, guys would go single seat because they wanted to save the weight. But now with GPS and reading all the different stuff, a lot of people are also taking that extra guide to change tires.
Change tires, do anything you need to do. Get out and see what that was. What is that noise?
All right, and then also later on you're going to see coming up is the B3, which is the side-by-side, the all-wheel drive, and then we have some really cool cars. The new Polaris, we got Mitch Guthrie Jr. and Wayne Matlock. So that's kind of, I mean, some people are calling it the four-wheel drive Class 10 car. So it's going to be interesting to see how much time they make, because last year the Class 10 cars beat the side-by-sides by quite a bit, and everybody thought, oh, the side-by-sides are going to beat them because how much time they make in the other races.
Technical and all that.
And all that stuff. But the buggies, when it gets to the open desert, those Class 10 cars rip really hard. So it's going to be interesting to see what that new Polaris does against the 10 cars.
You know, when we were when we were down at another race, we were talking to some guys about this up and coming UTV class and how much they're doing what Class 10s do. One guy who didn't quite have a grip on it turned to us and said, you know, have you seen those Class 10 cars? He says, they're getting as big and fast as those UTVs.
But now as we're watching on screen, out here in Johnson Valley, it's probably about 36 degrees at this point, 37 or so, but not a lot of wind. When I came in this morning, you could just see the whole valley just from people parking and everything. So the scene here at Hammertown is unbelievable. But you can also see how that dust is hanging. They're starting the Prologue 2 minutes apart, so dust isn't going to be a factor until they catch that guy in front of them, because it's a random draw. It's not like they know who the faster guys are. It's just a random draw, but you can see that dust is hanging a little bit as we're watching this Class 10 car as he starts to go.
You want to see it go off to the side when you're following. You're rolling in on a guy coming up on him. Everybody wants to see that dust go that away.
Well, there's two times that I really pray. One is when I don't surf very well, but when I'm out there, I'm praying for one wave, that at least I get one wave for the day. Yeah. And the other is when I'm behind somebody, I pray for wind. I'm like, please, God, just give me a little gust to get that dust out of the way so I can catch the guy.
And then when you're passing him, then you got to hope. I hope he stays steady. Stay steady, dude. Don't move. I got this, but you don't know it yet.
But looking at these 10 cars, they have evolved so much. Where we're looking at the tire technology between BFG and Tensor. And if you look at the tires up close, they're running a close knobby pattern because they don't want to put too much stress. That's the thing. Everyone thinks, oh, more traction. There's a fine line between having too much traction that tears up drive lines and transmissions and all the different stuff versus having something that gets you up and going.
There's another thing that happens here. Not talked about a lot, but matters a lot. Air pressure. This kind of a race where you've got some tough technical stuff like this, you want to get your air pressures into an area where it's like finding a sweet spot, because the higher pressure you go, the better the truck tire likes the high speed, because it's stiffer, it's harder. But the slower you go, that stuff will actually end up not doing you very much good for bite and traction. So even though everybody builds nice, good tires, getting the air pressure right in them has a whole lot to do with how they do or don't work.
We've done a lot of testing with that. There's a fine line, but now we're watching Chase Warren take off in the 10 car. As you can see, they got everything nice in water. This is going to be the course that the Class 11s are going to run later on. So it's a much shorter course, but as you can see right here, as soon as they get going, then they're out into the desert, out into the natural stuff. So to finish your thought, when it comes to tires, there's a compromise. You want it hard so that you don't get the flats. And a lot of times, a flat doesn't come from hurting a tire, it's from blowing up a wheel.
Oh, absolutely.
You collapse the wheel, collapse the tire, you break the wheel, and away you go.
And now, we have method wheels here.
Yep.
They're with us. They have forged wheels. A forged wheel is not made by melting the metal and pouring it into a mold and doing it. They do it as a forging process.
Wheel.
Yeah, it's a cast wheel. But they are smacked into things, and that forging process changes the molecular structure of the wheel, so it's like super strong. So, for example, if one car has a basic cast aluminum wheel hanging on their tire, and another guy has a forged wheel like method, I just blanked right out there.
Find that word, Bob. Find that word.
Yeah. The forged wheel is going to last longer, do better. You can make more mistakes with a forged wheel. You can get away with more with a forged wheel. Interesting stuff to watch, because there might be a rock out here in this Johnson Valley somewhere.
You think? A couple. But so yeah, you want to compromise between traction and safety. So a lot, the softer tire pressure is going to give you more traction. Obviously, it's going to put a bigger footprint for the sand. It's going to help you turn better, perform better, but you're also compromising the survivability. So it's a fine line. But everybody from BFG, Method, also Tensor, Toyo, Nitto, you go down the line. They've all done extensive tire testing, and because it just blows my mind what tires can do at this point. Now we're watching Matt Miller take off. So we had him leaving before Chase Warren, but for some reason he's leaving now. But right now, we have Matt Miller taking off in the 1035. Once again, and a lot of times you can tell by the numbers that's a 10 car. So if you're new to this and you wonder why such a big number, so everything is 10 and so on. And a lot of times the guys will keep their number all year long. But if you're number 1,000, that means you are the guy.
You are the guy.
You won the championship the year
spanked
before.
them last year. You know, it's got to feel really good for these guys. I'm going back to my seat time when you finally get out of the stadium, you're finally running, it's finally going. You know it's going to take you probably, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, Ricky, of running around till you finally get into feeling it and you're comfortable.
Well, yes, but a lot of these guys they've been out here doing a lot of testing, a lot of pre-running. So it's been open for a couple days for the guys to pre-run. A lot of them, like Bryce Menzies, who's going to be racing tomorrow in the T1 class, has an identical truck. He bought a truck from Jesse Jones, an exact replica of his Mason all-wheel drive truck for him to pre-run and be ready to go. That's the level of commitment that we have. So these guys, honestly, nowadays, Bob, because they race and train all the time, they are in the groove 100 feet off the line.
Really?
Yes, they're ready to go, and they're running at that pace. When we start the 1,000, it goes from 0 to 120, and we have to trust Ray Dugan, trust the people from Gibbs and whoever's building your motor, that I'm going wide open, and they say it's ready to go. We've dynoed it. We know what it'll do. So 0 to 100, let's do it. Let's party.
Wow. Wow. Well, I know I always felt good to get out of the stadium or wherever we're starting. It's like it's finally on, because I don't know about you guys. Day before a race, couple of days before a race, I'm kind of like distracted, and I don't think really smart. Finally, when you get into the car, it's like thank you. You feel more better.
All righty, and off the line, 1082 is Eric Everly. So once again, another 10 car going out there. Right now it's a little bit of a mystery on who's doing what, when, and where. This is our first day, people, so we're going to be working out some of the bugs. But I can't say enough for Dave Cole, the production crew, everybody, how they've put this together. We have drones, we have cameras on site, we have satellite, we have helicopters, we have all of these things going in so people can enjoy it. And then they put two ding-dongs in the booth to call the stuff. So if you get sick of us, the best part is you can just turn us off. Turn us off, put some music on.
Yeah.
And
turn the sound down, talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Do your own announcing. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
sit back and show us how it's done.
But you're so right. What they have done with this event is just pretty much astounding to me, because, like I said, this is the very first time I've been to Hammers. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I've been in the desert sport for a couple of weeks of my life, and first time I've been here. I am so impressed with the variety of race machinery that Dave allows to race, and the desert that kicks back. They haven't raced this desert in a whole lot in a long time in SCORE. I think we were running it back in the mid-'80s, maybe.
It might have been an HDRA race back then. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's a great race for a lot of reasons. Is that I was talking to Jason Coleman, who's going to be running in the T2 class tomorrow in the spec truck class, and he was telling me like, wow, and also Charlie Peltzer, who went out and said, there's a lot of narrow places and rock things. It's not anything close to what the guys are going to run next week in King of the Hammers.
Oh.
But it is way more technical than desert racers are used to, because we're used to getting out, hauling butt, Barstow, things like that, where speeds are constantly, close to 80 to 60 to 80 miles an hour. Here it's a little bit slower. Now let's throw this down. We also got Bradley Wisdom out taking off the line in class 10 in B2 or B1. My bad.
Forgive Ricky for he knows not what the classes are, and
I'm just going to say number 1032. How's that? 1032. So they're off and running. Next on the line is Mason Cullen.
Mason Cullen
and Matt Cullen looks like they're going to be running out there for the guys from F&L Fuel. It's good to see the sponsors getting back out here, Bob.
It's a good-looking car, though, isn't it?
Great-looking car. It looks Luminacraft. They've had so many winning Class 10 cars, Class 16 cars, Class 12 cars, Class 1 cars. You name it. Luminacraft has been one of one of the top cars also in short course as well.
They're not a new company either. They're a heritage company. They've been in business for probably 25, 30 years now.
Yeah.
At least.
No, they know what they're doing.
Which is good to see. Doggone it.
So as we look over, we see the Prologue lap over to the side. We don't have anything yet. We got the Haas and Helton entry going to be getting on the line next. So Bob, if you were racing this,
yes.
and you know that you got a 33-mile Prologue, and then you have 283-mile loops after that.
Yeah.
You just wide open?
No.
No.
No. I think that because you can't afford to have a flat, have a break, do anything on this Prologue because it sets your real start time in the sequence of the whole race. I'm going to rely on thinking my way through the race, steady pace. I'll rope them in.
First car through remote pit 1.
10-19.
That is who took off first, Angel Morphin. So right now, we'll check. We'll set our watches. It's 8:16. We'll see how long before the second car comes through. So far everything is going as planned. As we see the Haas car ready to go. But I go back and forth. I'm more of a guy that I got to give it everything I got, because if I want to win, this is such a short race. If I'm stuck behind, I'm going to lose way too much time, and so I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take the chance. So it looks like right now the second car, which is Justin Buckley, has made quite amount of time. That's him through remote pit 1. So we got us a good race going right now. And if you go on corrected time, and this is a guesstimation on, what do we say, unofficial?
Unofficial. You're going to hear that word a lot today.
So unofficially, Buckley is leading because he was only about 15 seconds behind Morphin coming through remote pit 1, but we don't know how long everybody else as it starts to go. So we're gonna have some math equations for you throughout the day, but right now Buckley is on a tear.
It's gonna be good to see how things get resorted when we get done, because then that race will start probably about 11 this morning when they finally get all the cars back here, relined up, reset, and let her go. But you were talking about you like to go haul butt straight out.
Yeah, because I come from a motocross background and a supercross background and short course trucks, so I know how valuable that start is. Now here we're watching some of the cars. We can't quite identify who it is, but you get an idea how crazy this terrain is. It's not just flat desert like down in Baja. We're up and down hills, which you don't get a lot of this. So when you test a car, a lot of times you're on flat ground, but how a car reacts going downhill over bumps or uphill over bumps is a completely different vehicle. So you have to take a little time, because see how it wants to bounce and jump, so you got gravity working not for you, in some ways against you. It kind of wants to float the car. As we're watching Eric Everly, and he's ripping really hard. And
he's getting a lot of China. I mean, he's getting some tank slapper stuff.
Yeah, he's getting some yaw side to side, but you notice now he's up and over another rise, so it's not always consistent. As you can always attack uphill much better because you're driving into the ground. Going down, it wants to bounce you away from the ground. So a little bit different deal.
Way more than downhill.
But this is some of the great coverage that we're going to have today. We're going to have drones, we're going to have cars, we're going to have cameras on different spots, and then also that was a helicopter shot. So a lot of great things happening throughout this whole week of everything.
The drone shots that we're going to be seeing over the next whole week, Ricky, that's what just got me hooked when I started watching the live feed when I couldn't get here. I was like, oh my goodness, the stuff that Dave Cole has pulled together to bring into our sport is just impressive as heck.
Well, and what he's had to endure. I mean, about four years ago, he had cancer. Went through a massive battle with that. Found his way back. He's had to go through all the different stuff with COVID. We talked about that. It's great. People are out here. We don't have to go through some of the protocols that we did before, but it's awesome that we can be out here and be Americans.
I'll give you that. I'll take it. I like it.
So as we're watching on the line,
10:05 is that? No, that's not.
that says
05.
Says or 6. I apologize, folks.
We don't have a.
It said Mason Cullen, but I think he already left. Yeah, that's 10:06, which that might be Stan Porter because we do not have a number for him.
Yeah.
And yes, because he was supposed to be the car in front of Matt Winslow, but it looks like he's the car behind him. So this is the thing that's different than a lot of the desert races. You come through, you race really hard, then now you got to come up through, you got rocks that are jagged, which that's where you get your flats, sidewalls, because they've done so much with the technology to protect with a puncture and make the car that you can take a rock straight on. So when I'm trying to teach new drivers, I say if you got a choice, take it head on, because it's designed to take the front hit. It's not designed to take the sidewall hit. I don't care if you got a 40, 42, 46, whatever.
Absolutely
Sidewalls is the Achilles heel of a tire.
Well, phrase it the other way, Ricky. The tread face, the face of the tread, is the tough part of the tire. And that's because there's layers and layers of, this is technical now.
Kevlar.
Stuff.
Kevlar stuff, steel stuff, whatever you want to call it.
They have Kevlar, they have fettuccine. They have sauce. Oh, never mind. Here we are.
Now we're watching, if you're new to this,
82.
I got harassed because I quoted a speed that was a little too high. I'm going to say he's running about 65, 70 miles an hour. And you got to think about that. That is a normally aspirated 4-cylinder Ecotec motor that they do a little bit of modification. Obviously they do some dynoing and stuff like that, but they rev the crud out of them, and they run them so hard as we're watching Matt Winslow as he gets ready to take the green flag.
Looks like a whole lot of engine back there.
I'm going to try something, Bob. I'm going to put my hand warmers in my shoes, see if that helps.
That's the truth.
Not that you guys care at all. I just thought I would share that with you.
You can tell, I can see the worry of everybody.
Everyone's
They're very
hope
concerned
that
with
works
it.
for you, Rick.
You know, Ricky, this is a little stretch that I liked about it. When you're leaving the short course and now you're on desert floor and it feels like desert. And to me, that just feels good. I like it.
Well, it settles you in.
Yes, it does. See the sideways stuff? I mean, that's a little nasty getting up there on it. They're doing this and back and forth.
But the desert's well seasoned. You can see the ruts are pretty deep. But the up and down, those are probably about 15-foot dips. And notice, I love how the drivers are all looking for that extra tenth of a second. They're moving to the outside and the inside. They want to open up the corner as big as possible. But if you get beat by half a second, how mad would you be if you're like, I didn't take the time? So
and
you're,
Ricky,
as a racer, they're always looking for an advantage.
In today's desert racing, I mean, a second, 2 seconds really has mattered a lot.
Yep.
We've had some really close finishes over really long distances.
Well, and I had the fortunate, the opportunity to race with.
That's Matt there out again.
Well,
Matt Cullen.
that's Mason Cullen in the FNL's fuel entry.
Oh, Matt's his dad, I think, right?
You see him, and that's where you see him making little adjustments to the left and to the right, and that's where the pre-running comes in handy, because that's going to be those valuable seconds. But you got to watch. So here's a little tip that I learned a while back, is that I think, being a motorcycle guy, I didn't really know a lot about getting cactus in your arms. So first time I started riding down desert, I had cactus in my arms, and then what I would take is what they call an Afro pick. One of those picks, and I would adjust it so you could grab them and throw them out. Because what do you do when you normally get hit with cactus? You grab it with your hand, and now you got it in your hand and your arm. So grab one of those little Afro picks, put it, have it set aside. I put it on one of those little lanyards that pull back and forth.
Smart.
And so because when you start cutting corners like that, I've had a big bunch of cactus, and I got to apologize to my co-driver Drew Becerra. When I was at Team C, I filled him up pretty heavy one day, and he screamed for about 3 miles. I kept telling him to shut up, that he was bothering me instead of apologizing. But sorry about that, Drew.
Yeah.
But yes,
Is
remember
he over it?
He's over it now.
That's good.
He's on to bigger and better things, way past me. But yeah, so you gotta be ready for every little thing. Evan Duran.
Evan Duran, look at there.
Another Alumacraft.
And method wheels.
Yep.
Absolutely. Tough stuff. That's a good little layout of what we have here. I like that.
Yep.
There it is.
So to finish my thought about my strategy, I
Okay.
would go as crazy as possible, and then when I got a flat, I would hear you and my voice going, "Well, I would take a little more time and be patient." So it's one of those things. It would be great until it's not great. But I think in this race, if you think you have a chance at winning, like if you go, I'm one of the top 5 cars, and honestly, I think there's probably about 15 cars here that can win. If I think I'm one of those 15, I have to take the chance.
You have to think that too.
I have to.
Otherwise, would you get behind the wheel if you didn't? Now, if I was your right seat guy, though, because I had him a mile or so in the right seat, I would never, ever tell you to slow down. I'd never tell you to check up. But I might ask you, Ricky, can the truck do this all day long? And let you decide.
Well, I've had some co-drivers when I hit stuff and they let me have it and say, "That's your one mistake. That is it."
That's your quota.
Okay?
You filled it, dude.
Don't get too happy. All right. Next on the line is Ryan Etter. He comes from a great family. Brad Etter, and they've been racing buggies for a long time. So Brad was running in Class 1, and now it looks like his son is out there running in Class 10, which is the B2 class. And they come ready to race. They've always had good equipment. They always well prepped, always well versed when it comes to pre-running.
Yeah.
So keep your eye on Ryan Etter. I haven't had a chance to watch him race yet, but I do know the background of the family.
I see the EBCO name there too. That tells me a little something.
What's that?
I see the EBCO name on the car there too.
Yep.
That might have a little heritage going.
Yep. Got the Eberts family.
We're doing premium feed. We're doing premium feed.
I don't know if we talked about it. If you're just joining us, this is the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. It is going to be a great race tonight. You gotta stay tuned because we're going to have the Baja Jerky Class 11 Showdown presented by EMPI. So we have
MP.
Yeah. However you want to say it, however you want to spell it out. But we got a full day of racing. So the leader is now at 4 minutes out. So it's going to be interesting to see how everybody comes in, who has tires changed, who has the different things. And here we're watching Bradley Wisdom as he's rocking. I mean, give me a guesstimate on speed.
I got to find the car.
1032.
Oh, this one. Come on, buddy. Let's get that camera.
Just
back on
outside the
that car.
camera.
So,
Alrighty, so if you're watching right now, we have if you're watching the free version or the premium version, the difference is right now you get to see everything, but when we go to commercial, the premium version stays on racing and does a split screen so that you get to watch the whole racing, so there's no break in the action. Once again, we want to welcome you all. This is the day one of King of the Hammers 2022, and you're watching the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. My name is Ricky Johnson. I'm going to be one of the hosts throughout the whole week-long extravaganza. Bob, what would you say already? We're at day one. Would you say there's probably 50-some thousand people out here?
you know, I'd give it I'd give it 40 or 50. I was talking to Ryan Thomas, president of Ultra 4, this morning, and the gate count compared to last year is almost double.
Right.
Well, now last year was COVID, so that's understandable. I asked him about, well, what about the count compared to 19? He says it's way past 19. So, you know, the off-road sport is healthy, it's alive, and an extravaganza event like this is iconic. You have to be here.
And if you've never been out here, you have to experience one. It's a bucket list.
Yeah.
I would call it a combination of Woodstock of off-road, but not as dirty. I mean, dusty, dirty, yes, but not as. There's families, there's dogs, there's people cruising around in Jeeps and side-by-sides. There's $1 million Prevost motorhomes to people in tents to rock crawlers to everything, and the vendors here. It is unbelievable. Because I love walking around, going, wow, how much is that? How much is that? Oh, I want that tow rope. I want these off the grid pants. I got to go talk to the buggy whip guy. I got, all of the different things. And that's just what I'm looking at. You got 4 Wheel Parts, who is back on board, which,
yes.
You need something when it comes to your truck, your Jeep, whatever you need, go to a 4 Wheel Parts. So we're going to talk more about them throughout the week.
They have over $100,000 of inventory right here today. And they're getting it. If you order something from them, buy something from today, and they don't have it, they'll get a truck up from LA. They'll bring it out here, no extra charge.
Wow.
I mean, and they're going to be running some smoking deals. This is the time to buy, guys. I mean, I don't know if you're. I mean, well,
impulse
listen,
buyer. Look
I'm
at you. You're such a salesman.
who never had a ton of dough, and so you kind of have to pick your points. And when you know that there's going to be a big sale, and there's a good reason, and there's all kinds of neat stuff going, I'd get a hold of 4 Wheel Parts as fast as I could. Say, hey, now's the time to get the stuff for Christmas that I didn't get.
Are you getting a commission, Bob? Because you just sold that. That was good.
Well,
I'm impressed.
I'm not trying to sell it. It's really the truth. Where I spend my money, where I hemorrhage my money, is
on beard brushes.
No, not beard brushes, but offshore fishing.
Yeah,
I
that's your thing.
Yeah, and that's the way we buy our gear. Yeah, if you can't afford it, you have to pick it.
All righty, we're going to be going to the starting line in just a moment, and we have 2 of the Prototype Polarises, which we were talking about, is the R1. So now if you look at that, it is it looks like a big, which it is, a big side-by-side. And
yes.
So we have 2 drivers. We have Mitch Guthrie Jr. and Wayne Matlock. Both of these guys have won everything.
You bet.
Wayne Matlock, I've known him since he was a kid. Then he was a dominant quad racer down in Baja. Then now him and his wife Kristen are the 2 of the top guns when it comes to the turbo and the normally aspirated cars down there. They've also raced in Dakar. So these guys are world renowned, and this is Polaris's new baby. Everybody's raving about it, how much horsepower it has, and when you listen to it, it's got that high pitch. It sounds like a Formula One car. It is a great car to listen to, and it handles like a dream.
So they're calling it the designation of R, right?
Yes.
I think it means, they're supposed to probably mean race, but I think it probably is going to mean rocket by the time we watch this thing take off.
But notice, look at we scanned away, but if you look in the back, they have the arms up a little bit, so it gives you a little bit more. It's not a portal, to change it, but if you look at the back lower arms, how they're arced. So, in the front, they can't do it because they got to get that distance for the shock, but the shocks in the rear are more mounted in the front so they can get the same travel with the shorter shock. But that in the front, it has to be, right down to the bottom. But in the back, notice that arc that they've done. Great job. They also got skid plates on there because they're going to be hitting across the rocks and doing the different stuff. And when you have that, you can really, really make up some time. And it's going to be interesting as we watch Mitch Guthrie Jr. take off. How is he going to do against the Class 10 cars? And so we could be seeing potentially the number 1 and 2 cars starting the main race at 11 o'clock today.
Unofficially?
Unofficially, absolutely. I like that. Everything that Bob and I do throughout our life is going to be unofficial because that. But
I've been married for 40 years. So I know how unofficial feels.
So as we're watching Mitch Guthrie, I want to make an announcement that Alltech, Fab School, and Rough Stuff is on site at King of the Hammers offering services to the racers on Recaro Road. If you need some fabrication, you need something welded, if you are listening to this and you have a problem, get over to Recaro Road and look for Alltech, Fab School, and Rough Stuff to help get you back going on your way. So now as we're watching Mitch Guthrie, pay attention to the difference between it and a 10 car, because it's an all-wheel drive race car, so it's pulling as well as pushing, where the Class 10 cars are just pushing with the back wheels. You know, we're out here, we're desert racers, we're burning gas, So the very first car is on his way back, so it looks like Morphin is on the short course. He should be finishing up here in a little bit, so we'll have our first finisher from then. At that point, as we're watching Wayne Matlock in the other R1 as he's getting ready to take off the line, but we will have the first vehicle back to the finish line, and then the clock starts. And when you're that guy, the first qualifier, you're just waiting, you're just hoping, you're like, I hope it's 2 minutes before this guy, and I hope it's 4 minutes before that guy, and so on and so on and so on. So everybody's doing it. So there we have our very first car, which is Angel Morphin in 10:19 on the short course, getting ready to cross the finish line, and then the game begins on when we're racing on time. As we're watching Cliff Matlock and the Polaris R1 as he starts to take off, him and Mitch Guthrie, it's going to be interesting to see how well they do.
You know, Ricky, last year the bet, the gamble was, are the B2s, you know, going to get beat by the UTVs? That answered real well. The 10s kicked it. They did. But now we've got these Can-Am Rs, these Rs. So should we like say, okay, so they're going to beat the 10s? What do we think?
Well, it's going to depend on the course layout. Okay, if they make a more technical, more hilly course than they did last year, then we're going to see the R1s with the all-wheel drive, and also because they're narrower. They're narrower, so when you get to those tight, rocky, funnels where they bring you in, you got to be careful. You got to slow way down. If you got a narrower car, you can kind of buzz through, and you can take little alternate lines that can help you. But when you have big, wide open desert, I think still the speed, the overall top speed of a 10 car is beating, because they have more travel and they have more top speed. But if you stop and go, if we have a tighter course, we're going to see more UTVs beating the 10 cars.
You know, one thing we didn't get figured out in time was, well, at least I didn't get a lap around there to see what this 84 miles looks like. But it's the Johnson Valley Desert. It looks like it's rough. It looks like it's whooped. It looks like it's rocky.
It's rougher as it can be.
It looks like our day is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, one of the things I was talking about before we got into the leader coming back is here we have the second car coming in. We'll see who that is.
Does it look like 19? No. 34.
Oh, that's Matt Miller. So Matt Miller has made up quite a bit of time as he makes it. But back to finish that thought. We are desert racers. We're out here. We're enjoying the desert. We're racing cars. We're bouncing around. But also we want to, do the tread. We have the people from Tread Lightly. We're doing the Tread Lightly cleanups. So if you're here, whatever you bring in, take it out. If you see a piece of trash, if it's not yours, pick it up and put it in a bag and take care of the desert. We got to treat the desert right, and because you know what? The desert's been really good to us. It's provided us
a life,
a job, a career, and a passion to come out here and go rock crawl and go haul ass on motorcycles, go dune and whatever it is. So, do your part and tread lightly. Don't just make new trails and tear everything up. Go out and treat the desert with respect, and it'll do the same for you.
At 8:30 in the morning out at Backdoor, you meet at Backdoor every day at Backdoor, and at 9:30 at Chocolate Thunder.
That is the Method Backdoor. It is officially the Method Backdoor all week long.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Just a little tip there, Bob.
There's a chance to go out there and help everybody clean up. That place does get a little messy because people tend to lose track of their beverages.
Okay, so on the big screen, we got Wayne Matlock in the Polaris R1. Below, I think it's Mason Cullen coming in. So, you can see how rocky and how technical that is with Wayne Matlock coming up and over the hill. And some other technology that some of the guys run is a thing called tire blocks. You know, in motorcycles, there's what they call a mousse. And if you remember back when you had big hair, Gelée mousse. Mousse stands for foam in French. So a little history there. So if you run a mousse in your tire, it gives you foam, and the foam replaces the air, and you can stab it. You can do all the different stuff. And so motorcycle technology, they've been doing that for years. Yes. Another gentleman has came up with a thing called tire blocks, where it's the same foam, but it's in different things. He puts it in around the thing. And I know that Cliff Matlock and Kristen Matlock both run those because they say they can run one tire 500 miles, no problem. So they can run the whole Baja 500. Don't change one tire.
Explain blocks.
Explain block. It's a foam. It's a foam block. They used to have a thing called tire balls, where it would be individual tire balls. But if you popped a tire ball, the other tire balls would take over. Right. This is a foam block they have to put them inside of there, and that substitutes for air. So if you get a puncture, or it becomes compression wise, it saves your rims as well. So but they're heavier, and they are a little pricey. You know, so it's a combination. But the level as we're watching Cliff Matlock Cliff is his father. Wayne, I apologize, but I think your dad Cliff would get a kick out of that I just called you him. Anyways, as we're watching Wayne Matlock in the Polaris R1, you can see it's a little shorter wheelbase than the Class 10 cars, but notice how quick it squirts out of the corners because it's got that all-wheel drive. Whoa, you can see it coming in hard, even though reacted to him, nothing dangerous.
And the car didn't overreact. I don't know if you saw him. He had to really stuff it there.
No. And these are brand new cars. And so what I love is that now we have two of them. We've had Mitch Guthrie Jr. run it once, and we've had Wayne Matlock, I think, run it in the 1000 last year. And it did finish, which is pretty cool.
We got scores.
So if you look over on the right, you can see Chase Warren is now, he is the fastest at
30 minutes and 50 seconds. I think that's what I said.
Yeah,
30 minutes,
50 seconds. So he's a minute and 8 seconds faster than Goyne and Buckley. Remember, Buckley was second. He was going pretty good. But you can see the times that's actually a little bit bigger gap than I expected. But Warren, absolutely, Chase Warren laid it down, because for him to be that much quicker than the other guys, that's going to be a hard time to beat. But the good thing is as we watched Wayne Matlock as he's going around, because he had started all the way back probably about 15th or so, the dust is settling. It's giving the guys enough time. So I didn't know if this was too much time or not enough time, but the 2-minute gap that Dave Cole put together for this, I think, is on money. And it gives the guys a chance to just go race their own race and not really worry about getting into traffic. Once again, Wayne Matlock in the Polaris R1.
There he goes.
Another buggy across the finish line.
Maybe Matt Miller.
That was Matt Miller that just came across.
Welcome home, Matt. You did good.
Hey, they brought it back in one piece.
There's got to be a little bit of happiness going on in the Cam Warren pit, because, I mean, this means probably a lot more clean air for him. We'll have to see. You know, I didn't look at the times, Ricky. How did the T2s do time-wise versus the B2s last year? Do we remember?
No, I don't remember how close that was. Now, this, if you notice, this is one of the modified UTVs. We got a lot of different classes. We're not going to bog you guys down and all that, but we are going to have an overall winner of the class, and there's going to be trophies for the top 3 on how you finish overall. Then we're going to go into the individual classes, because if you look into if you do your own little research as you go into in the different classes, we have different classes inside the different classes. It sounds kind of crazy, but it is. But so in B2, we have everything from Class 10, Class 5, Class 16, Class 12. We have quite a different thing. And then also in B3, we have multiple UTVs. As we're watching on the lower screen, the fully modified UTV with a longer wheelbase, longer chassis, different wheel sizes. Then you got normally aspirated, turbo. So there's a lot of different stuff. We are not going to bog you down with that. We're going to give you the driver and the number and all of that, because it's just it's a little hectic from here.
Even though there's a lot of nuance to each of those classes, here's what does stay the same: the desert. It wants to eat you.
Yes.
And it doesn't care how you're accessorized.
Well, and also when you're watching these guys, you know, they're driving, in most cases, 99.9 tenths. They're driving as fast as they possibly can. It's not like Days of Thunder where Cole Trickle decides, okay, I'm going to downshift and start passing everybody and driving around everybody. It doesn't happen that way. You're on the edge of death the whole day, and all these guys are gladiators. But as we're watching another...
we describe it this way. They are engaging in a bit of self-amazement.
Exactly. So this is not good. He's losing... Whoever's coming in, I apologize. They can't see the driver number. But he was cruising in, so he must have lost some time.
See if we can get a number on him.
Once again, Wayne Matlock and the Polaris are one. This was a pretty, in my opinion, was a pretty gutsy move for Polaris to build this car, to see if the other factories are going to follow, because the UTV is the most popular class in off-road racing, as well as they are what's keeping motorcycle dealerships going. I mean, motorcycles have been flying off the shelf since COVID, but before that, it's been the side-by-sides that have really been cranking, because you can put two people in there, you have a cage, you can finance it, you can do all the different stuff, and it's not so big that you can't put it in a two-car garage with another car in there and have fun with it. So,
and the money is accessible. I mean, it's not stupid money.
No, but they're not giving away either.
No, but given what they accomplished, you know, I think it was Joey D. Giovanni was explaining to me. He says, you know, you buy a unit for, let's call it 30. You put another 30 at it, you've got yourself a car that'll go into the whoops at 65 safe. It'll be controllable. It'll be drivable. You'll love it. And you could race all year on that. So I tell you, I think that they present a pretty good value equation for guys that like to have family fun and racing fun. Oh, we got our fifth going. He's 32. Oh, that was a close one for fourth and fifth. There's only like 26 seconds to separate them. So, but they'll start for it. G. Buckley in 1064 took our fifth place. We haven't seen the sixth yet. That dust is just hanging out there. It's just, man.
So we have 80 cars for this B1, B2, and as well, which they're going to start a little bit later, is the T3, which is the TrophyLite small Ecotech motor, similar motor to what we were seeing in the Class 10 cars, but a little truck chassis. And so we're going to see that. Now here, as we're watching this, notice how much longer this car is, Bob. So this is the modified class that it gives the Pro mod, that they can stretch the chassis out and be a little bit more creative, which, as you know, wheelbase gives you a lot. It bridges the gap between the bumps and will give you more top speed in that rough stuff. But in the rocks and everything else, you want that shorter chassis.
Looks happy, looks comfortable.
That is Brandon Sims in the Tensor Tire entry. I think that's Ben Hagel.
Yeah, that's Ben Hagel.
So I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Back again to Brandon Sims. So if you watch Brandon Sims as the sun is fading down. But notice how the dust is hanging, Bob. So this is going to penalize the guys that are a little bit further back. So some of those tight canyons and that is going to take away a little bit of time. So as we talked about, Chase Warren, who has a blistering time, it looks like he is just under 1 minute ahead. So he's...
You got to take your shoes off to do this?
Yeah, I got to do this. So pull your hands out. Pull your hands out of your pockets.
Yeah. You know, one thing, here's something I do think about the dust is good, a benefit. it's cutting the sunlight back. And, you know, in a sunrise morning, they're not going to have that glare in their eyes. It's a pretty even color out there right now with less glare.
Yeah, but, you know, what you're thinking mostly of Baja. Every time we leave Baja, we go directly east, right into the sunlight, and it just like it blinds you. You can't see.
Same when you're leaving Pahrump.
Yeah, so same thing. But here, the way the mountains are today is beautiful. The way the clouds are set, you know, settling in, it's really taking the edge down. I wouldn't mind a little bit more sunlight right now, just because as an announcer, I'm cold in this booth.
Well, yeah, I'll give you that.
Other than that, I'm ready to go. As we're watching, once again, as we're watching Brandon Sims in the Tensor Tire Razor. Notice a little longer wheelbase and a little bit more, a little less chassis moving around, yaw side to side and front to back. They've done a great job balancing them. Notice the tires bouncing back and forth, and that chassis very, very, very smooth. What's great is that we have a lot of different courses, and we've seen in the past, one year at King of the Hammers, with a big event, Shannon Campbell, who runs by himself, got lost. So here we have the map, so you can go on this, you can scan around, but we're going to show you on the screen where everybody is going, where they start in Hammertown, where they go out, and where they go around. Right. So we got guys that are already back in, but as they've reached around, they take off, they start their loop, and as they come back, as you can go down and look at Matt Winslow, you can see the speed that he's going at the time. 62 miles an hour, and the public can use this at any time. Don't wait for us. If you want to follow your rider or your driver, see, we go to Stan Potter. We see he's in class 10. He's currently at 46 miles per hour. We don't see anybody with a pink light around it. So during the race, if you see somebody stopped and there's a pink light around it, which we can't demonstrate that at this moment because the perfect thing is everybody's moving.
But you can find this on racingtracks.com, or if you go to the Ultra 4 webpage, there will be a link there. And if you have to go to work today and you can't watch, this is all going to be on YouTube later.
Well, but if you're listening and you're able to scan around the site and do a lot of different stuff, you can see a lot of the cars are getting ready to go, and some of them are already back. And we're back to racing. And this is Kristen Matlock, Wayne Matlock's wife. Once again, if you follow her, she did a phenomenal job keeping track of everything she did last year in the Dakar Rally. She's won the Baja 1000, the Baja 500, you name it. This girl has done everything, and they work so well as a team together. They're running two separate classes because I don't imagine you would want to race the same class as your wife and have your wife beat you. but she's not a novelty at all. She races and takes her racing very, very seriously. So look for the only thing that lets you know that it's a girl is she has pink down on the bottom because if you watch her, she drives very, very alpha.
She does.
Very alpha out
you know, one of the things that I've sort of come to grips with or came to believe after racing a number of years is that women drivers are no different than men drivers. It takes brains to win these doggone races, not brute, and there's no difference in brains between men and women.
Okay.
Emotions, yes.
Bob the horse has spoken. He has just said, boom, nothing different. Yeah. And
well, brains don't have gender. Come on.
I'm not arguing with you. That's an HR nightmare right there. So let's go back.
Well, no, here's
let's go back. So we're watching
Okay.
Heartbreak Ridge on the big thing. So we're going to have the different cameras. Obviously, this is one of the helicopter shots. We're going to have a lot of drone shots as well.
Ooh.
And
Different
we
line,
see
bus
somebody
car.
having a problem. They're pulling off to the side. We don't know what that is.
Well, that's interesting.
Well,
Maybe that was a spectator or a supporter?
no, it's not a spectator. Anything
just
can happen
messed
as we get in these. Because I've had the opportunity to race with Carson City Motorsports, and we're running one of the. Oh,
Number 913.
wait a minute. So Wayne Matlock. No, that's
913?
no. Bottom right. That is. I'm pretty sure that's Brandon Sims, 913. So So that is Brandon Sims stopped down on the lower right. Looks like he might have a CV or something out because they're looking inside. They're not changing the tire.
That's where the belt is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they could have smoked a belt as well. So if you're not familiar with these cars, as we're watching Kristen Matlock in number 54, as I said, the only way you know that it's hers is she's got that pink livery across the bottom and the purple Polaris. They are both factory racers, but you can see that Brandon Sims is just disgusted because he had a great run going. He could have blew a belt, CV, we don't know.
You should paint the back of that car pink because that's all anybody ever sees of it.
Well, she doesn't want him to know it's her. But yeah, that's what. So this goes what I would. This is if I was Brandon Sims right now, I would hear the voice of Bob Bauer in my ear going, I should have been a little bit more patient. But as I go back to finish my thought that I've been racing the Arctic Cat or Wildcat Double X's that were got the speed arms and stuff on them with Lucas Cassidy, Luke Johnson, Davy Jones, and that is with this clutch technology, you hold it wide open, and you have to balance the clutches out to be in the right range. You don't want it to rev over 9,000 RPM. You got to keep it right in a certain RPM, so you have to put weights on the clutches, and depends on if you go to altitude, it changes, and all the different stuff. So it takes it takes some of the driver out of it. So you just have to go in there and hammer it. So I guarantee you, I don't guarantee you, I'm going to make a speculation, unofficial.
Here it comes.
Unofficial with Brandon Sims. Is that they might have weighted their clutch a little bit too light, and it was over revving, and they either popped a belt or they did something in there. That's a professional guess.
Okay,
on
Mr.
my
Driver,
part.
Mr. Driver.
Yes.
Can you, as a driver, feel that thing slipping? Do you know you've got a problem, or do you just go at it like you don't have a problem?
You go at it, but now they have temp gauges that shoot a laser that reads the temp, and then what a lot of the guys, like when I've talked with some of the different drivers, they know how hard to run it. Here we're watching Mitch Guthrie in the Razor Red Bull livery. And so, whoa, get a little out of shape. Sorry, folks. I become a fan. I start watching. But it tells them when it's getting too hot, and so they'll back it down. When you're qualifying, you might be running 10 tenths. Who knows? It could be anything. Could have broken axle. Could have done something. But it's something inside. It was not a flat.
No.
So you can see how close everybody is. So Brandon Sims. So you saw, I think, Sims running back. So he might run back to the main pit or because he was just out where it comes in. So where we're looking at, where that little hand is scrolls to the left. That's Bessemer Mine Road. That's main pit 1, and so they can come in and they can use it in 2 different directions. But he's that close. He's probably going to run back to get out, run back because he can't get assistance out there. He'll run in, get the part if he has it to get to the finish line. Because if they DNF, then they get a massive 15-minute penalty, and that's going to really screw them up and start them in the back.
He's trying to keep the prologue from becoming an epilogue.
Well, and Brandon Sims is one of the top guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
he's not one of those guys that's thinking about it. And here we go. You can see him running back to the deal. So
and he's in the whoops. Look at this.
He's up and down.
Traction. See you kicking out back.
Got to keep high hands, high stepping. Come on, Brandon. You got to get that.
Thing is, when he gets there, he's going to be so winded he won't be able to tell him what's going on.
Dean Wheeler in the Monster Can-Am. We can see him in the So we have a lot of the big dogs here. You know, we have all the different champions that have done so well in the past. So later on in the broadcast, we are going to have Pam and also
Scott.
There's a couple different people down in the different pits. Tiffany Stone. Sorry about that, Tiff.
Stone.
Down in the different pits, throwing us back the information. So We don't have her there at this point, but later on in the broadcast, we'll have her down there so that she can let us know. Maybe she can jog next to Brandon Sims and find out what's going on. So we'll see.
Go ahead and tell her you said that.
We'll see how good a shape Tiffany Stone is if she wants to do this coverage.
I tell you, T-Stone Tiffany's tough enough that she would do that.
Skylar Howe is the one that's running in. So Brandon's there. Who knows? Maybe he's taking the vehicle apart.
I'm sure he is. I mean, he's not just sitting waiting. He's doing what he can.
So I'm going to bring somebody up into the booth. I'm going to ask him this question on what he would do on that. So I might have him if we have another headset, or I might have him give him yours. But we have, I think, the defending champion from the T1.
From T1 for 2 years. 2 years.
And also the guys that were crushing it in the bottom 1,000. So, Bob, I'm going to have you sacrifice your headset for 1 second, because I'm going to ask him about this Brandon Sims situation. Thanks, Bob. All right. Welcome to the booth, Oren O-Ring, as everybody knows him. By the way, congratulations. You guys were crushing it in the 1,000 until you had a little bit of an issue. I mean, flying.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I feel like that's a lot of people's complaint. We were doing really great until, but that's Baja.
But it wasn't driver error. It wasn't navigational error. You guys had an unbelievable pace. So now I'm going to ask you this. So we're watching the different drivers. We see Kristen Matlock has pulled over to help Sims, and also Sims' co-driver got out and ran to the pit. So as your job, and you're in this situation, you assess, because I know Bryce is not very mechanical, so you can't leave him to work on the car, but what would you do in this situation? If it's something you go, I can grab an alternator or something that I can fix, you start running?
Absolutely. I mean, we carry a lot of stuff on board on those trucks. There's a lot of systems and things like that we got to take care of. But yeah, I mean, in a situation like this, we all want to do the best we can out here, and we're all super competitive, and no one's just going to sit and wait on the wayside. I mean, I think what the Navigator did there, he's in it. They want to get a finishing position so they're not dead last. I think the time penalty was 15 minutes added to the slowest finish time. So if he can get it going and save that 15-minute gap, I mean, they're still in it. They got a long race. But, yeah, that's awesome to see him out running. I probably would have took my helmet off. That looked like a long run, but hats off for him putting in the effort.
But so as a co-driver, you have to be in shape for anything, especially in this race, because there's a lot of bottlenecks. I mean, anything can happen, which I'm going to transfer over. You've been pre-running. What do you think of this course versus last year's course?
This course is really fast. They changed a couple sections. We got some new desert out there, which is cool. Some of the fun, challenging sand hills got taken out, which we thought were really fun. But yeah, it's a fast course, and with how dry everything is, it is dusty. I mean, it was hard just catching cars pre-running. It was insane how much the dust was lingering. So this is going to be a tough race just because there's so many gotchas and cross ruts and rocks and stuff like that, and very little visibility. I think it's going to be hard on, everyone I think is going to expect to go really fast out there, and then they're going to hit the dust bowl, and it's going to change the whole game for them.
Which we saw that in so many races, where you're going the Mint. You guys didn't race the Mint this year, but at the end, that was the difference between Rob Mack, who knew the desert, knows the poles, knows the roads and the different stuff, and Luke McMillan, who was crushing it all day, just didn't know where he was at, and he lost the time and got frustrated, and things happened, and Rob crashed him.
Right. I mean,
I'm joking on that, but it was a racing incident, and all of that. So, do you like this Prologue layout, the way you go out and you run? You got some time because the gap between everybody, but then it gets right into the nitty-gritty, 30 seconds apart, 2 cars side by side. What do you think about that?
I think it's awesome if you have a great day. If you're out front and you can, stay ahead of this group. I mean, the Prologue idea is great. Having a 33-mile run, like, you really have to be smart. You got to play it, safe, but still go as fast as possible. You got to have a car at the finish of that. They give you some time to work on it before the actual start of the race, but you can't mess up anything major and make the green flag. But, I think it's going to be really, really tough for the, from about 5th row back starting the race, just with how bad the dust is going to be hanging. But, it's going to be tough on everyone, and just got to be smart and not crash it and make it to lap 2, lap 3 if you're going to be there for the finish.
How many laps have you gotten so far in pre-running?
We've done a total. I mean, we did 3 laps Total, we had a lot of notes because a lot of the stuff is similar from.
Okay. So you can
years
transfer your note. Now, are you using all Lowrance, or are you using lead nav as well?
I play around with lead nav at home and kind of couch pre-run before we come out and do this stuff in the truck. Just with the, we play with a lot of Lowrance stuff just because that's what's in the truck, and we've had really good luck with that as well. But both systems are great. I mean, it's kind of just whatever you spend the most time on and get proficient.
And then you guys will get to run this afternoon as well?
Not sure. I mean, it's hard because it's live race course. So, I mean, I think we're just done and
you're done.
Just relax and get ready. Maybe go shake the truck down out in the desert somewhere. Just make sure everything's all good for tomorrow morning.
All righty. Well, hey, thank you for coming up. As you can see, awesome teammate, or maybe they both had an issue. Who knows? As we're watching Mitch Guthrie come through, have you had a chance to look at this R1?
Yeah, I've looked at the Pro R a little bit. I mean, it's a big. That's an awesome car that they built, and I'm excited to see what his time pops up as.
Because I'm interested to see. Chase Warren had an unbelievable time, and there's Mitch Guthrie not too far behind him. So it's right in the mix, and with this course, maybe through the hills and stuff, Guthrie, we could see the Polaris win.
Yeah, I mean, having all-wheel drive definitely isn't going to hurt, and there's some soft stuff that he might be able to step out and make a move if these guys are caught up slow in the dust or something like that. So I hope the best for him. I raced with him in the rock race a few times, and they're a great family, and I'm stoked to see him sitting in third right now.
So as we were looking, Mitch Guthrie is now third. We'll see where Wayne Matlock comes in. He's in the other Polaris, a big car. So, all right. So O-Ring, good luck tomorrow. Once again, you've had a great 1,000 going. Kudos to you and Bryce and everything, and it's a heartbreaker, but hey, you've won a lot, and you'll be back, and you're the defending champion for this round.
That's right. We really love this event. It's cool having all the fans out here, and Ultra 4, Dave Cole, everyone puts on a hell of an event, and we're just excited to be out here and get to fly in a local SoCal race and hopefully put on a good show tomorrow.
All right, tell your lady we said hey.
Yeah, I will.
All right, take care. I was gonna see if Samuel Humanet was in the house. We'll get that one next time. If you see Samuel, send him up. Okay. So I know that we took away from the action a little bit, and here we see Brendan Sims has made the fix. We do not know what it is that he fixed yet, but he's back underway, so that is great for him. But when you have the opportunity to talk to somebody who's a defending champion, who has done so much and won so many things, I think the people wanted to hear from Oren.
Oh, and besides, today Oren will make sense.
Yep, exactly.
Because tomorrow he's got racing in mind.
Right, he needs to relax a little bit, and that's the thing. Today is the longest day for the guys that are fixing everything. The Willie Valdez, that's the crew chief, that goes, did I change this? Did I change that? What did I do? And all the different things. So today's the longest day. So we got Brendan Sims had blown a belt, which just surprises me that he didn't have a belt on board. They almost always have a belt on board, but maybe something happened. Who knows? But you have to have a certain tool to release the belt, to get it out and then put it back on. The belt technology has come a long way, but when you're running 10/10, and as I said, maybe he weighted his clutch a little bit light, revved a little bit too much, belt got hot. Who knows? A rock could have gotten in there.
And as for no spare, it could have just been one of those human oversights.
Unofficially, who knows?
Unofficially, you be right.
Who knows? But here comes Wayne Matlock as he works his way, and it looks like he might have. I don't know if he's. It looks like he's right on track with Mitch Guthrie Jr. So I think he's a little bit off on time, but. Christian Matlock, who was stopped as well next to Sims, had an oil leak. So, ironically, they're side by side and that close to the pit. But hopefully, Christian Matlock will get herself going again. As we watch, let's see where Wayne Matlock pops up on the leaderboard when he crosses. And Wayne Matlock, well, he's all the way down in 20th, or no, that's Christian Matlock, I'm sorry. So Wayne Matlock is not in the top 5. Now, down in the lower right-hand screen, We see Brandon Sims is back running and going. Now I think he's going to take the Bob Bauer approach and get to the finish line. Or he's going to take the Ricky Johnson WFO and try to make up time. We'll see.
You know, that has been the age-old conflict of how do I approach this race.
Well,
truly, Ricky, over the years, that's been consistent.
Well, we've had the Mickey Thompsons and the Parnelli Jones that there was no pace to them.
No.
They just drove wide open. And they either won or is checkers or wreckers, meaning they either got put on a record and taken home or they beat everybody by miles. I still think Robbie Gordon's pace in that old Class 8 when he destroyed the Peninsula, you know, and everybody was going, it's going to break, he's going to break, he's going to break, he's going to break. And all of a sudden he gets to the finish line and he sets a new record for a Peninsula run. And that's the
18
thing.
18 hours and 4 minutes.
18 hours and 4 minutes. I mean, that's just unbelievable, the speed and everything. Now, the courses are different. They're going longer and all that different stuff. But nowadays, you have to run that pace. If not, you're going to get destroyed.
Well, nowadays, you can run the pace because what's changed is the machinery. So much tougher. Technology is building stronger, building lighter, building better ideas. And so today, I think keeping your foot matted is got a lot more potential to win than it did in the days of
equipment and everything. So as we were watching Eric Kozin on the line, we're showing you the top 5 qualifiers at this point. Mitch Guthrie is in the Polaris custom car. I'm calling it the R1, but it's not the R1.
Rocket.
Yeah, 1R. And it's a bigger, more horsepower. It's all-wheel drive. So it's going to be interesting to see how well he can, if he can chase down Chase Warren and Winslow when it comes to racing. So they're going to be starting side by side, and there you go. He's got all-wheel drive. He's going to get the whole shot.
Oh, absolutely.
He's absolutely going to get the whole shot. But now when it goes right into open desert, that's it. We're going to see some Dyson going on because they are going to fight for position. Apologize, I can't see who exactly is coming across the line at this time.
You know, looking at our screen, Ricky, what occurs to me is it looks like snow. I assure you, all you viewers at home, it is not snow.
It is not snow.
But it is also not hot here. So
no, not yet. But we are back. So if you're just joining us, my name is Ricky Johnson. I'm going to be one of the hosts this weekend. We have Scott Rain, we have Miles, we have Tiffany Stone, we have Pam, and we also have my man, Bob Bauer here. We're back, and it's starting to warm up. We're watching the different cars as they're coming across the line. Everybody's wondering where they're going to start this prologue. They bumped it back from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Once again, if you're just joining us, it is the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. And as you can see, these guys took off. And sometimes that happens. You work so hard, get your car going, you take the green light, and then boom, you're off to the side.
That's Eric Kozin just parked in there. He just took off from the start line, and that's as far as he's gotten so far. Not a good way to go. Well, he's back.
Hey, I'm racing in 10:06 with Stan Potter.
Okay.
He doesn't have me on that.
All right, we got Tex from Baja Designs going to be running in 10:06 out there, so I'll be looking for that swag bag from Baja Designs next week. No, but. Here another driver we see, Goodall in 1950, looks like a belt once again. Tires are fine, but co-driver is not getting out. That part surprises you. Maybe he's just giving a look to see what's going on.
They started Ultra 4 in UTV class, but they've just recently moved up to 4800. His dad, Ken Goodall, is they're going to run each other and have a good time pitting, don't you?
So that is Kristen Matlock. That is not good for her. So that could be the end of her day, or they're just going to try to get it back. She'll take the 15-minute penalty and start the race. But if we're seeing oil, Bob, that's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So very, very, very tough break for Kristen Matlock to hopefully this is not the end of her day. Her husband, Wayne, is also, as we said, in the Polaris 1R, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you want to hope it's an oil line or something that's easily replaced. you know, a fitting coming loose a little bit.
So speculation, once again unofficial. Looks like Goodall has a belt problem. His co-driver has not gotten out, so either he feels he can fix it quick, or
Yeah.
he's having a hard time. So wait, he's back in the car. So we are watching awesome action. You are watching the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. I'm here. This is Ricky Johnson with Bob Bauer. We're going to step away to a commercial break, and we will be right back. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.
Dominance. Proprietary patented race technology. Proudly made in the USA. Unparalleled customer service and support. The choice of champions. King Shocks. The leader in off-road shock technology.
All of today's racing action brought to you by Toyo Tires.
Let your queries be known.
Yeah, hi. Instead of letting passengers wrap their arms around us, can we put little handles on our jackets?
Deny.
Can you imagine?
I want a new nickname. Can you guys start calling me Snake?
No, Brian.
Denied.
How about we all get quotes to see if we can save with America's #1 motorcycle insurer?
Approved.
Cool. Hey, if Brian's not going to be Snake, can I be Snake?
No.
Bronco, an American classic, returns. And it only gets better when it's outfitted with the right gear. From bumpers to winches, rigging accessories, suspensions, body armor, and wheels. You need a full array of gear to outfit your Bronco for adventure. Get them now at warn.com.
All of today's racing action brought to you by Toyo Tires.
Welcome back to the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. My name is Ricky Johnson. I'm going to be one of the hosts as well as Bob Bauer at this point. We're going to have Scott Rain, Miles. We have a lot of different people out there going to be helping us, Pam and Tiffany Stone. So we have a lot going on, and this is just day one, Bob.
You know, I was thinking a lot about that. Day one of, well, 7 total. This is Saturday. We finished Saturday.
Yep.
So
as we're watching a lot of the different guys out there running, we have a total of 80 cars as we're watching this Can-Am as it runs through the desert. And Bob, 2 versus 4. Dependability, accessibility, speed, agility.
2 what?
2-wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive. What would you pick? Would you, if you had to put your money on, you're going to take a 10 car, or you're going to take a side-by-side? You're going to take a T2 or a T3? I'm sorry, a B2 or B3. My bad.
I'm going B2, but R has me concerned. I think that R car is going to be a rocket. But I'm going B2 because history's shown that to be the smart choice. And these are guys that are coming and talking to us about this year's race course. Has actually been speeded up from last year. So I'm going with I'm going to go to B2.
Well, we have our man Miles down in the pits. He's got his wrench. He's got his. So if you're new to Ultra 4, which most of you aren't, everyone knows who Miles is. But Miles is going to be giving us some information down in the pit, and he's going to be doing some openings in the morning. But Miles, what do we have going on down in the pit, and what do you have for us?
All over the world down here, you can see everybody's busy. They're just giving a quick run over on the car. I don't see too many tore up cars, honestly. The cars still look like they're in great shape. All the tires are still doing good, but they're just doing fuel, and just I can see them wiggling the wheel, checking the suspension, checking everything over, because like I said, here in another hour or 2, they'll be running that the 3 laps, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. The pits will be exciting later on today. Right now they're kind of calm, but there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, so we'll see how this plays out, but it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. So Bob, Ricky, back to you.
All right.
Well, thanks, Miles. It's busy now. It's going to get way busy a little bit later. Good job. Can't see the number. 10. What is that, guys? 10.
We're
19.
missing him on the list.
Yeah,
it says 950, and so we've been watching him. I feel like I looked and looked and looked, so did not have him on there.
This Hammers event.
Yeah, he was a late entry because we do not have him on the list. So I apologize for not calling out that 950's name and information because it must have been a late entry. Looking over to the right, we can see the top 5. Chase Warren with a 3050, Winslow with a 3109, Mitch Guthrie Jr. in that new Polaris all-wheel drive 3131, Avery in a class 10 car with a 3133, and Haas in a 3151. So pretty tight field. But remember now, when they start, it's going to be 1 and 2 side by side, 3 and 4 side by side, and so on and so on every 30 seconds. So elbows are coming out.
Yes.
You have to give 100% and get in front of that guy because you have to. The dust is going to be monumental here.
And the passing is going to be a really tough thing, not because of the dust so much, except getting off to the side is a bad thing to do.
Well, the cool thing, Bob, about out here in Johnson Valley is that this is an open OHV park.
Yep.
For everyone can Jeep and do all the different stuff. There's a lot of, I'm going to call them alternate lines off to the left or to the right, because a typical trail goes straight. It gets used, it gets rougher and rougher. Someone goes, I'm going to venture off to the right a little bit. So there's lines to the left, lines to the right, and these guys have pre-run this, so they know what's coming up. They've made the routes. They've laid in their GPS, whether through lead nav or Lawrence. There's a line off to the left or off to the right, and their co-driver, even though you're in the dust racing as hard as you can, he can say, we got a line to the left, coming up, go, 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 and they can coach you through all of that. So here's Kyle Cheney. Kyle was the winner last year in the UTV rock race, so he definitely keep an eye on him. He's one of the factory Can-Am drivers, as well as Phil Blurt and some of the other guys as well.
Cheney won both the Toyo B3 class last year and the Can-Am KOH race, so this is a guy who knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. He's not a West Coast guy, but just like Eric Miller and a lot of other guys from back east, they come out here and they spend a lot of time just out rocking. Try the trails. Look and try that. Try this. Look over there.
Bet.
What's it like if it's windy? Is there more rubber on the rocks? Is there more sand knocked up on the rocks? So everything changes throughout the day.
And race day is not the day where you do your experimentation. You do all of that, all the testing, all the interesting stuff, saying where does this go on some other day besides race day.
This mic is for interviews. You just push these two buttons at the same time to turn it on.
And here we're watching Phil Blurton. They won the Baja 1000 this year, him and his co-driver. So Phil is definitely somebody that we have to keep our eye on. And even though he's starting towards the back, this is a guy that knows the car so well. He builds them, he fabricates them. They put their deal together. So we got to keep our eye on Phil all day long. He had a situation at the Mint, broke apart, but was able to still bring it home.
One of the more experienced drivers in the field out there.
Well, and I'm a fan for a lot of reasons. One is he started as a moto guy. Then he obviously his father, who worked with Cheneth and built a lot of the original cars. So Phil Burton Sr., a decorated driver himself, but engineer and just, they look into making things better. And if you do a little history on that and watch what these guys can do, they definitely got their act together when it comes to racing. But Phil is so patient and so on track. And even down to the point where him and his co-driver said, if we lose 5 pounds each, we're going to be that much better. And that's the kind of commitment that it takes in this racing. Some people go, it's a side-by-side. I can buy one at the store. These drivers are as good as anybody, as the Bryce Menzies, as the Rob McCachrans and stuff like that. Just because they're in a smaller car, they definitely know how to put it down. And Phil did such a phenomenal job with his co-driver in the 1000.
That was his first Baja 1000 win, was it not?
Yes, it was.
And he'd been trying for quite some time. When you finally get it, after you've been trying for a number of years, it means a ton. It means a ton anyway, but man, when you've been at it for 5-6 times, it's like it wears you down. And losing the Baja 1000 is something you don't want to get used to. Although I will tell you this, Ricky, you are standing in the booth with the guy who's lost the Baja 1000 24 times.
Well, we won't say lost. Now, this is awesome. Right now, we're seeing Brandon Sims. We saw him. He had to change the belt.
Yep.
His co-driver ran back to pit 1, got a belt, came back, and he's been throwing it down. So we won't be able to see him on the top 5. We'll get you the times later. But this is what it takes. You got to keep pushing, and anything can happen.
And with Brandon Sims, 284-mile laps gives him a chance to put some time on folks. And he's going to crawl his way back up higher. Well, I don't know if he's going to do the win, but he's going to get up higher. He'll come back.
Oh, he's one of the top guys.
Yeah.
He's got the main, obviously, method and tensor tire, so they put a lot of faith in him as a driver, and if I was a sponsor and I saw that kind of dedication, getting out of the car, running half a mile back, getting a belt, coming back, switching it, getting back in, and finishing as strong as he just did, that's what I'm looking for. That is Mike Deely. But see how the dust is hanging? That's going to be an issue, Bob. If you notice that when you're starting side by side 30 seconds apart, you're going to rely so much on your GPS. But if you're off half a foot, that rock is there.
That climb that we're watching on the top, where it jukes him to the left a little bit.
Yep.
That's that would just kill me.
Once again,
blast a right rear off the car, 100 yards from the start.
Yep. So as we're watching, we see everybody. They've done the prologue. There's only so much that they can do to their cars. I think they can fuel them. They all started with their spare tires and they're ready to go. But if you notice, look in the background, Bob. Look at the dust. It's not going anywhere. For a spectator, it's kind of cool.
Let me wipe the screen. No, it doesn't change anything. Doggone.
Bob keeps wiping our screen, but the dust is still there. So you can see In Hammertown, we're pretty good, but from a, let's say a 15,000 foot, it is just a pretty much a big dust bowl. So we are looking for a little bit of wind. If somebody knows a direct line to the man, can throw just a little bit, not too much. We don't want to go crazy here, but a little bit of wind to move some of the dust out of the way would be great, because it is hanging very, very, very thick out here in Johnson Valley. If you're just joining us, you are watching the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. My name is Ricky Johnson, along with Bob Bauer. We are in the booth. We're going to have Tiffany Stone, Pam, and Miles out doing other interviews throughout the day. As I said, this is just day one of racing when it comes to a week-long off-road extravaganza called King of the Hammers.
I entered a description the other day. I think it was Thursday. Guy says, here's what King of the Hammers is. Here's what Ultra 4 has brought us. It's a blend between, it's half Mad Max, half Burning Man.
There you go. Well,
I thought he was kidding, but no.
No, you're absolutely right. But we have, this is the most diverse off-road event in the world, because today we're racing desert racing.
Yes.
Then we go into buggies. Then tomorrow is trucks. Then we go into
big trucks.
Then we go into UTVs, rock racing, which is not just rock racing, is desert rock racing. So this Hammers format, this Ultra 4 format, has evolved to a whole new vehicle, because everyone thought that a trophy truck has to do everything. Well, it doesn't climb rocks like an Ultra 4.
Yeah.
And when you watch some of the different guys that are racing single seat Ultra 4 cars, like the Gomez brothers, like the Campbells, that they have to get out and winch their own car. People don't think about that. So it's a pretty daunting task to do all that. And so the physical challenge of it, and Rob McCackern, who's everyone's put him as the greatest of all time, which I don't know if there is such a thing, but one unbelievable champion, and will go down in history as one of the all-time greats. But says that he's more afraid hanging off the side of a mountain going 2 miles an hour than he is going 120 down to San Felipe. So that just shows you how crazy it is out there.
It's amazing what'll pucker a sphincter. The reason this works out here, we were talking about that, Ricky, is that Johnson Valley is unique. 96,000 acres, all dedicated to off-road recreation. So there are trails, there's all kinds of stuff. But when you say you can't do this anywhere else in the country, or in the world probably, it's because we have these great rocky mountains and these passes, and we also have desert right next to it. So it gives Dave Cole a lot of tools to use, and he's using them very well.
Well, and that's the difference between California desert and a lot of other deserts, is that we have the rocks and the mountains and the hills and stuff like that. And as you said, that's unique to here. If we go down to Plaster City, we don't have the rocks.
Right.
If you go to other places out west, further west from here, you don't have the rocks, you don't have the mountains. When you watch later on the week what the Ultra 4s do and what the UTVs are doing in the rocks, it's mind-blowing. It's like, who the heck ever thought that you could go up this? And when it comes down to it,
much less go up fast.
Backdoor, Chocolate Thunder. so if you're the first one to clear it, you get to name it. All right, as we're watching, we're seeing that the top 5 has not changed. So that tells me a couple things. One is that we had the higher performance cars have already crossed the line, all the Class 10 cars and some of the buggies, but we're still looking for Phil Blurton to come across. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be right in there. So we're looking at the top 10. See, if you notice, almost all 10 cars, except the 29 of Mitch Guthrie Jr. So that gives you a little differentiate. And then you also see Sims in the Sims actually 25th, not bad for your host, Ricky Johnson, along with Bob Bowers. So, Bob, right now, as we're watching the guys come through, we're going to have a special guest up here to let us know what the course is like. So I'm going to ask you once again I'm going to sacrifice your headsets, but final thoughts before I bring in this guy.
I better hurry because you don't waste anybody's time. There you go.
All righty. One of the drivers in the Polaris Pro R, Wayne Matlock. We were watching your time, so there might have been a tracker issue. There could have been something because you were a minute and a half behind, so you were right in the time frame with Mitch Guthrie Jr. So a couple things. One is, how do you like that new Pro R?
I love the car. You know, it's robust. It's big. It runs good. It just handles amazing. So just to have some things, we got it's a brand new car. So just getting it dialed in out here and getting some more seat time.
And you guys did finish the Baja 1000.
We did.
That's a huge because this year's course was unbelievably long and rough. A lot of silt, a lot of craziness.
Yeah. This year's race was usually Peninsula Run is not that hammered. This one was up until about mile 430 or so. After mile 430, it kind of straightened out, and there's a lot of fast roads after that. But up until that point, it was pretty tight, technical, just looked like a war zone.
Okay, talk to us about the course. How much pre-running did you get in?
I got one lap in. Yesterday pre-ran, made some notes. It's a fun course. It has everything in it. It's reminds me a lot of Baja. There's a little bit of everything. There's some real fun flowing trails. There's definitely some big whoops, some sand washes, some tight technical rocky stuff. It's a lot of fun. He threw everything he could at us.
So you've ridden everything and driven everything. You dominated the quad series down in Baja for a long time. Obviously, we met through your father Cliff. That we were fortunate enough to win the Class 30 the first time we raced together. And then you jumped into side by sides, and it seemed just like a natural transition for you.
Yeah. It's four wheels. And a little bit wider, and I think once you develop skills racing desert on a motorcycle or an ATV, you could transfer it over to a car or truck a lot easier than someone coming in, let's say from road racing, coming into racing desert and off-road. On a motorcycle or a quad, if you screw up, you're going to break an arm.
Yes.
Not just an A-arm. So it teaches you how to read terrain really well.
And it's funny how we learn lessons, and sometimes when we're learning them, we hate it. Like for you as a quad, you started in the back all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think that trained you for the future because you can navigate through dust.
Yeah, you learn to read the terrain through the dust. You learn when to take chances and when not. And sometimes still bites you in the ass.
Exactly. How did that rock get there? I was on track.
Yeah.
I thought.
Wasn't there when I pre-ran.
So let's talk a little bit real quick about you went to Dakar last year. You and Kristen both. Actually, first, let's talk about what happened with Kristen. You guys are SoCal, El Cajon.
Yeah.
What happened to Kristen? We saw oil, but what happened?
Well, this morning woke up, got ready, everything was fine, and it was extremely cold. Didn't think about it, and her radiator was frozen solid. So on the way over here, thing overheated, and we didn't run antifreeze. We run water wetter in there, or it's a Motul solution that we use, and it froze. So tried to get it to unfreeze. We had torches on it and everything else, and there was ice just stuck everywhere within it. So she got out on course and only made it a couple miles and blew a head gasket.
And so she's done for the day.
She's done.
All right. So for you, like I said, we might have an issue with your tracker because your time was right there. You felt like your speed was down a little bit?
Mitchie had me on time for sure. Our top speed was down a little bit. We're still dialing, clutching in on this car and trying to get it dialed in.
When you get that, can you please let me know? Because I have this. It's a mystery to me. You
magic.
hold it wide open, and it mysteriously revs up and then mellows out. I don't get it. I don't
Actually,
get it
the
yet.
belt temperatures on this car are extremely good. I mean, I kept the damn thing flat-footed for a majority of the course. It's just my top speed is about 12 miles an hour lower than my pre-runner, which is the same car. So we're trying to figure that out. RPMs are right. Everything feels right. Something is just off.
Now, can you, from Prologue, because we're extending it a little bit, we're starting at 11 o'clock, what can you do on the car? Can you go and do some reclutching or anything like that, or no?
That's what the issue is the clutching feels perfect. I don't know what to do.
Right, so the
clutching.
RPM is right, everything is right.
And, it's a desert race. This Prologue is a lot of real fast roads. We cut out all the real rocky, twisty stuff where you're twisting and turning. So, you know, we've got a little over 200 miles to sort it out, and we'll end up where we do.
Well, perfect. So, and after seeing the course and stuff, do you think it's going to favor you and Mitch Guthrie Jr., or is it going to favor a 10 car? Because 10 car pretty much put it to everybody last year.
Really thankful to have VP Fuels on board.
UTV 96 is like perfect in these things, makes them rip.
It ran cool, it ran strong.
We got into those rock sections where we really needed that throttle response, and it was right there every time.
We run all VP lubricants. We haven't had any problems with any kind of leaking or any kind of heating issues.
And in the state frosty, no drama, temperature stayed under 200 the entire race.
Ford WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, Ford WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to Ford WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at FordWP.com.
I am down in the hot pits with Stan Potter in a Class 10 car. How's it going? You just got done with your Prologue. A little chilly out there this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's actually getting colder. You know, it's like I think these clouds are holding the temperature in instead of letting it warm up. So yeah, I'm freezing.
So I believe you've shared driving duties with the Ultra 4 president, Ryan Thomas. He's a good cat, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It was the not last Baja 1000, but the 1000 before that. I broke my wrist right before the 1000, and I drove the first part, but I had to get out. And Brian, he had never driven the car, never job, got in and got the car to the next driver. We ended up, not finishing for other reasons, but yeah, I mean, Ryan's a solid dude for sure.
So I'm a desert fan for sure, don't get me wrong, but I know Ultra 4 pretty well. Explain me what a Class 10 car is. These things look like they're super light, super nimble. You got these huge King shocks up front. Kind of give us a newbie a rundown on what a Class 10 car really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a limited car in the engine, right? So it's like a Class 1 car. It might as well be a Class 1 car, but because you don't have the horsepower that a Class 1 would have, they make them a little smaller. And yeah, so it's got an Ecotech motor.
copied. I copied, they just didn't copy me. And remember, my ridge mic is hot. Turn it off, please. I can't hear either one of us.
Oh. All righty,
Well,
I've got you, Ben, in my ear.
Yep.
You hear me?
Welcome back to the 2022 Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. I am one of your hosts, Ricky Johnson, along with Bob Bauer, as we're watching the T3s as they start to take off, Bob, which is known as the TrophyLite. This is also a points race for them. So you can see one of the drivers having some difficulty right off the start, but they are going to be attacking this course, and they're towards the end. So everything is beat in. Well, the good news for them, the course is beat in very well, and they know which trail to run.
I think we're looking really at...
Actually, no, that's Cameron Steele.
Yeah, Cameron Steele in T2.
That is Cameron Steele.
He just came off the line to run his Prologue.
Yep, so that I take that back. This is Cameron Steele, who's out there, who's running every race again, which I disagree. I think it's great because he's such an unbelievable enthusiast, and he's been out here. He's ran the pro, the King of the Motos, and did try to do all that. But I think he's one of the serious challengers for the King of the Hammers Ultra 4 race. He was leading it last year, had a break, him and Wayne Israelson. They had an unbelievable deal going with the laser nut truck, but I don't know how well that's going to work on him physically. Is that going to take too much away from him?
By the end of the week, he's going to be pretty used.
Beat. I mean, he's got to be. We're dead tired from announcing it. Imagine getting beat up every single day in a different vehicle all the time. So it does a couple things for you. It gives you dirt knowledge. It gives you desert knowledge. It gives you desert awareness, but he's not a spring chicken anymore.
Well, but you know what he is? He is visible. I tell you, Cam is just one of the biggest names in the sport for media. So, there's people that want him to run their car for the visibility. Yeah, that would be my thought.
That's what he's doing. I mean, he went from pro boogie boarder to freestyle rider to freestyle manager to desert racer, he was desert racing the whole time with his father and his family. And then what's funny is they're the desert assassins, but they are the nicest people in the desert.
Well, it's like saying the checkers are bad guys. They're not.
No. Well, the checkers were cheaters. That's where they got the name from there. The cheating checkers. But hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't winning.
I won't subscribe to that. I know too damn many checkers. I'm not saying that.
No, but the thing was that because when you win and you're dominant, people are always going to accuse you of cheating, and I'm not calling the checkers cheaters. That was joking. But
the more you talk, Ricky, the deeper the hole. You know that.
Yeah, I know. I'm digging myself deeper and deeper here in a minute.
Let's look at this map. Look at this.
So we're looking at the different things, and you can see how everybody is spread out. This is the Prologue loop. So this is just a very short loop. We can see the driver's down to 0 miles an hour. Brad is showing that he's. So these are the guys that are stopped. We can see the little red tab at the bottom that shows that they're not moving 0 miles an hour. But the other ones, when you put it over the top, same thing, 0.6. So. More likely he is Billy Long has stopped, as well as Trey Gibbs. Don't know what happened to them. We had a technical difficulty, so we were off the air for a little while. But we're going to bring somebody in, Bob, and I'm going to let you interview them, because this is not just a big race for the TrophyLites. This is also a points race. So I'm going to relinquish the mic and let you talk with him. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, and you're going to go over and we're going to talk TrophyLites. Here you go.
Hey everyone, my name is Gene Addison. TrophyLite Web, social media. Been working with Jason Cobb for quite a while since he took over TrophyLite, and it's a pleasure to be here to talk to you guys.
Well, tell me about what's going to happen. I understand that this is not just a race, this is a points race for TrophyLite guys.
Absolutely. This is our first points race of the season. And here we have Chad Woodruff taking off here in the 6075. But yeah, our first points race of the year, typically we would do Parker, but Dave invited us to Hammers, and we felt like we could not pass up this opportunity.
Well, it's such a challenge. I imagine a lot of these guys this is a bucket list event for some of these folks, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure it is. It's one of those that's on the list but never been able to participate in our schedule. And so we incorporated that this year, and it's been a lot of guys are really looking forward to it.
So let me ask you that. Well, let me kind of set you up a little bit here, because it's TrophyLite. Let's say I want to go desert racing. I don't have a car. I don't have a big ass, but
sure.
So I give you guys a telephone call.
Yep,
then
absolutely.
What?
You call Jason Cobb and say, "Hey, I want to get in a truck. How do we do this?" Right? There's several ways to do it, between a single day driving school or a day in the dirt type of event. where we'll spend several hours out in the desert with you, or we can do, if you want to get into a truck for a race rental, those races, they vary in price based on distance and like the pit support that's needed type of thing.
Sure, because a Baja 1000 is going to be hugely expensive to
It's
support.
pretty expensive, yeah.
But a 20-mile loop,
if you have a 20-mile loop race, like maybe Blue Water or something,
Sure.
or Rage at the Rivers, significantly less expensive.
so you pay based on what you're going to do. It isn't like a fixed price no matter what.
Correct.
Excellent. How many new drivers do you have coming out for this race? Anybody brand new?
Sure, yeah, we have Chad Woodruff. He's new to TrophyLite, at least, right? I believe they do have some racing background, but they are new to TrophyLite, and they acquired a truck in November, and this is their first race, I believe, in their new truck.
90 days later.
90 days later.
90 days later, they're about to make some noise.
The truck they purchased was owned by Joe Fidos, who went into UTV racing, and he was a contender every year. And you'd be able to see Joe on the podium at most races, and so he purchased that truck, so it's already dialed in. It has all the bells and whistles, let's say.
Not bad, not bad. You know, you guys have a unique program in that you bring brand new people into the sport. Based on that, I bet you have some things that have been said to you when people get out after their first time.
Yeah, one of our favorite things to hear is, where do I buy one? Once we get these guys and they get into the driver's experience, the driving experience with Jason and the TrophyLite team is one of the best deals for folks to get involved in the sport. They get an idea of how to manage the truck, and then once they get in a race setting, then they can see exactly what's needed to compete at the same time. And so we've had like Dave Taylor, he's starting right now. Dave Taylor runs a trophy truck in a 6100 and loves this TrophyLite program. And so he likes running the TrophyLite in the limited class, competing with us and picking up some prize money, and then go to race the next day on the same course in the trophy truck or 6100.
That's pretty good. So maybe new to TrophyLite then, but not necessarily new to the desert. That's what I just...
Correct, yeah. So Dave Taylor is not new to the desert. I think Chad is to a certain extent. But there's quite a few programs that are picking up lately where they not necessarily new to the desert. They have other trucks as well.
But for those that are, I imagine they really depend on the guidance you guys give them.
They do.
Even over there in the pits, because they're about to go into the unknown for them.
They are. We give them we do a driving school for them if they want to rent a truck for a race. We'll find an area near Wickenburg, or we can come to them in the Vegas area or out near Parker and do a 20-mile loop or something and get them experience. They'll ride with Josh at first. Josh is Jason's son, right?
Yep.
They'll ride with Josh and get some experience, and then they'll after that they'll be able to do some of the stuff on their own.
Now this is your last TrophyLite starting.
This is one of the last TrophyLites, yep.
And I believe this is the last. This might be the very last in the Prologue. So we're making progress with it. Who do we have? Who did we have there?
That was Luke Canup, I believe. This shot right here is of Jeremy Crandall. He's really good friends with Dave Taylor, in the truck that we saw that took off earlier.
Yes.
I believe Jeremy went pitting for Dave at one point and then said, "These trucks are pretty awesome. Where do I find one?" And now,
that's a great reaction, because I'm sure the look in their eyes that they're asking themselves at the same time, "What am I saying? What am I doing?
What am I doing?" That's only when you're stuck. If you have a transmission issue or you burned a hub or something out in the desert and it's starting to get dark.
So I come in, I sign the sheet. I want a TrophyLite. I want this race. I want that race.
Yeah.
What do I do about chase and things like that?
Well, some folks have their own chase. They get their own teams together. But if you're going to do a rental program with us, or as soon as you sign on, we do pit all of our guys.
Everybody.
So
no matter whether
we try to pit. We will pit in a large group, and then you'll have, and all the trucks run very close together.
Right.
So you can have 3 or 4 trucks, 5 trucks coming into the pit pretty much at the same time.
All at the same time. Boy, that's got to be a little chaotic.
It gets hectic, right? And
you can't be playing favorites though.
No, we don't have no favorites. I actually started working with TrophyLite in 2013 when Rick Johnson owned it. Rick L. Johnson.
Yep.
And he was a great mentor to myself and how the class evolved. And then Jason Cobb working to continue that legacy from him as well.
You guys have made some, I think, I mean, I want you to tell me about it, made some changes in the cars, because I looked over there the other day, and you know, like your rear tires now, that wheel well is now a lot fuller than it was before.
It sure is.
That's a different look. So
Sure is.
talk to me about that.
So since 2019 and 2020, we added a 4-inch wider kit as an option for drivers. We recognized that the trucks were too narrow and pretty tipsy, kind of dangerous for some drivers.
Yeah.
The 4-inch wide kit is 2-inch wider on each side and provides great stability to the truck.
How many
And
inches wide is the back?
It's the same as the front. There's 81 inches wide
81.
total from 77.
You know, that tip over point, that's a really good point, because an experienced driver feels it happening, but an inexperienced driver has to be told it's happening.
Correct. Yeah, we saw a handful of rental drivers and then new drivers to the class that would experience some of these issues if they're get into a corner too tight and not riding the ruts properly into those turns, right?
You know, I understand that. TrophyLite, a lot more narrow than a T2.
For sure.
And if you're in the TrophyLite and you try and take, you know, a sweeper turn and stay low on the inside, you're going to go over, because your right rear tire catches the roll or the big hump in the middle made by the troughs of the big trucks.
Correct.
And boom, snap, you're done.
Yeah, it became a problem, and Jason recognized that and put together a kit with. I think we worked with FabTech initially when they owned 2 trucks with us, and they helped us
testing and stuff.
Create that type of the wider arms, and then we worked with Curry, of course. Curry Enterprises provided the. We went to a 35 spline, full floating rear housing.
Okay.
And that was an upgrade from the 31 spline that we had prior to that, and so having the wider rear axle and the wider front arms increased stability dramatically. And then last year, we opened up the class to 35-inch tires as well. Yokohama provided some amazing tires, the Geolander MTs that we run. The 35s are so light, and that was one of the concerns that we had was if we ran a different tire, they were so heavy with the 35s that it would bog the motor. We only run a 4-cylinder engine with 3,200 stall on torque converter, so where you find yourself shifting from second to third, second to third, second to third. And so Yokohama tire, those Geolanders are a lot lighter than what we had tested on previously, and so we were able to go with the 35s and not sacrifice the horsepower that.
And a lighter tire's got to help the whole car.
It does.
I mean, less wear and tear, less everything.
It does.
When you guys do, because you train the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about that? Do you do it in classroom and then drive, or do you have instructors? Is it? I mean, what's the deal?
We'll meet them out in the desert, right? We'll meet up out in the desert. We'll get them acclimated to the truck. They usually ride with Josh or Jason, and just to get a feel for what's happening inside. And then they'll also let them switch seats. So they'll put Josh in the right seat, and we'll teach them some of the navigational parts, and then also teach them the driving parts. And then also some of the pit, changing tires and what to check for, stuff like that. So it's not very. It's pretty elaborate from what we do for the drivers when they come out if they do rent one of the TrophyLites.
Any predictions for the outcome of this Prologue?
I'm not sure. All these guys are really strong, right? Greg Bragg is a champion from last year, so I would expect Bragg to be up front. I know Josh has done a lot of work on his truck to get close to the front and stay up there. Crandall proved himself with Dave Taylor. They finished 1-2 at Parker 2 weeks ago or last weekend.
Yeah, I lose track.
Man, they just raced Parker 425 and finished 1-2. So I would expect those guys to be toward the front as well. And I mean, all the trucks are so close. You could have you can have a top 5 on one lap, and then you'll have a totally different top 5 on another lap.
Oh, that's going to be good when you see it happening. So they're out there in the Prologue now. I want to thank you very much for coming by and explaining TrophyLite. This is a big day for TrophyLite. It's a big day for Hammers to have TrophyLite join us.
I appreciate
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much, sir. Take care.
Good job. Got your stuff?
So, Bob, I got to drive one of the very first ones when Scaroni started it.
Oh.
And so Steve Barlow and I went out to Pahrump, and I think it was the Battle of Primm or something like that. And I got in that thing, and I held it wide open for felt like for 30 minutes. And
then it started moving.
Well, then no, I thought for sure I was going to break it in two. You know, because it's small tubes. They can't do the big tubes because it makes it too heavy. And the way the transmission works and stuff, it's an automatic. So you have to. It's a momentum truck. But I was so amazed at how hard I could drive that, and that's where I said, this is a great tool for people to learn how to drive, because it still drives like a truck. It's a solid rear axle, independent front suspension, but you have to work around the bumps and you have to keep your momentum. You can't just come in and stop and then go, stop and go. Which, when it comes down to it, even if you're driving an all-wheel drive Mason with 1,000 horsepower, you still have to carry your speed through the corner. So I want to thank the guys for TrophyLite for coming out, and good luck today.
Appreciate it.
All righty. Alrighty, so I'm going to bring another co-driver in. This guy is like so, and I'm going to have you sacrifice your headset again.
Not again.
Yes.
Oh no, not for no way.
Yep, Dirty Dunk is in the house.
Going good. Here, let me put the hat on. Let me turn it. Well, I'm not touching any switches. Ladies and gentlemen at home, you're just going to have to listen to this transition.
There we go. So we had O-Ring up, who's the co-driver for Bryce. So I wanted to bring in Jason Duncan, Dirty Dunk, if you watch it on Instagram and stuff like that. For one, congratulations on the Baja 1000.
Thank you.
Unbelievable job. You guys put it together. I think pretty much a flawless run all day.
Yeah.
And night. And day.
All night, basically. A little bit of morning. We didn't have any issues, nothing with the truck. We had one scare. We were at, I think, a race mile 1100, and we had a Ford Ranger parked middle of the road. It's in the fog, can't see, full locked up on the brakes. We were probably doing 80. And, with the X-Trax, if you don't downshift enough, it gets locked in gear.
Yep.
So the only thing we had to do was shut the car off, which is the number one rule.
Yep.
And
take your time, slow. Take a second, take a breath, slow down, because that happened to me in the 400. And everyone knows that big rock right as you're coming through Ojos.
Yes.
And we always go out, and it scares the crap out of me. But coming in, I mistimed it, and I got stuck. And the next thing you know, I have my teammate Tom Vildosla behind me, and I'm like, and I'm freaking out. So you're like, shut it off, slow down, and go through that process. But what an unbelievable race this year. I mean, it was long, fast, technical. It had everything.
We averaged 62, which I was thinking 57. That's been the last two Peninsula runs, and we blew that out of the water, which I couldn't believe that it was up in the 60s. So it was fast, and it was fun. It was good. It was smooth. It helps with no issues, but it was good.
And then I'm gonna jump back to your stuff with Luke McMillan in just a second. But also, what some people don't know, but everybody in the industry knows, is you're with SDG, and you're on, I'm gonna say, the main test guy, because you've been out with myself, with the Vildosla team. Also, you work with, I mean, the list goes on and on. Just throw me the top 10 that come into your head, not the top 10 overall, but just 10 teams that you work with SDG.
We're with Ampudia, Vildosla, BJ, Menzies, Luke and Dan, all the way. That's trophy trucks from 6100s. We do most of the Herps trucks. There's a couple that we don't. We also do like Austin Weiland, that's out here in the side-by-side.
Yep.
We do Corey Gowen. We do Wheeler Morgan.
List goes on and on.
Different kinds.
And then tell people, how many sets of shocks did you guys have coming through the shop the past month?
In December, we got 70 sets of shocks that we needed to be done for this race, the Mint, and the 250.
Right.
And we're getting through them, and we got a great group of guys at home that they knock stuff out, and they love what they do. We're all passionate about it. That's the number one thing, is we want to do the best and be the best. So that's what we do.
Well, you have to keep Todd in line as well, which is a task on its own.
Yes.
But let's talk about kicking the hammers
here,
and the challenge that you have for tomorrow. How many laps have you had to pre-run?
We had 2 days to do it. We got one in on Thursday because it was half a day, and we have to do a lap, and you got to do your notes and then do it again. So we can only do so much before sun went down. Yesterday we got 3 full laps in, so we've been around the course 4 times, which that's a good number to know it like you know your hallway in the dark. You know, there's the switch, there's the bathroom. You could see it with your eyes closed.
Well, and then you had a situation. You and Luke were crushing it in the mint, but then at the end, I'm going to say it was not Rob Mack's driving ability, but his knowledge of that desert. So when he's going down, when he sees a speckle out of his eye, he knows what pole that is and where the trestle track is and where he can go and all the different stuff. So I think that's what got you, because when it was open desert, Luke was crushing it.
We had
you guys had a great pace.
4 minutes going out on the last lap.
Right.
And then we caught the 10-car traffic, which is a worry here with the 6100s. We do think we're going to catch them pretty. I mean, it's not the front runners, but we're going to get the guys in the back.
Yeah.
It's going to affect our
People
race.
are going to have problems.
Yes. And so we were coming up on 10 cars at 100 miles an hour, and they were going 30, and it was scary. So we slowed down, got to the quarry. We were 2 minutes and 20 seconds going into the quarry, and then we got a flat. We left the quarry 40 seconds still in front of him. So we had a good tire change.
Right.
But you know the quarry, it's all switchbacks.
Exactly.
We're leaving. You look left. There's Rob.
Here he comes.
And it's game over. We knew, like, I have chills thinking about it right now because it's, you know, he's going to stick to your bumper. It's Rob in its backyard.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, and Rob was very, emotional and upset that he flipped his teammate from the bottom 1,000 and all the different stuff. I questioned if he would have acted the same way if it was me or or anybody else for that matter.
But it wasn't typical Rob.
But
know.
He's a racer. He is going to stick his nose in there. When he takes his helmet off with his perfect hair, he's a very, very sweet man. But when he puts that helmet on, he's a killer. He is a warrior and one of the greatest of all times.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so he didn't do anything wrong. He was racing to the finish.
Yes.
And there was a touch, and Luke went over. And so it wasn't Luke's fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. It's racing.
It was a love tap gone wrong. We went the inside of Sam Barry as a 6100. That I don't think it played any effect in all. We could all see each other. He came, short course move, give you a little bump, let you know we're there. We're 3 miles from the finish.
Right.
I would think there's cameras all over us. Everyone's
watching.
watching.
By the way, thank you. It made it an awesome deal for us to announce.
you guys built it up like crazy. You kept talking about a fight and a bar fight. Someone's going to get someone. Well, it happened. It literally, and so many people thought that it was scripted, and we tried to plan that out, and 1,000% it was not. We were all bawling at the finish line, and it was scary.
Yep. And so when you're watching this, we see Cameron Steele and watching the different trucks out there, what's your thoughts going into tomorrow? So we can see we got the TrophyLites going out as they're taking off and watching the course and how the dust is hanging. What's going on in your mind, because you have to do this tomorrow?
Yes. So to me, these guys are now changing the course that we've already pre-run. I've got all the notes, and I think we're dialed for tomorrow, but the course is still going to change. They're going to tear it up. They're all qualifying right now, and I think they did 2 minute splits.
Yes.
So they're, as you can see, he's already in someone's dust. It's going to affect what we do tomorrow, and it's going to make for a great race, though.
Well, if you look at the times on the top, Chase Warren with a 30 minutes and 50 seconds versus a 31, that's still not that close. That's a gap, but here we got Mitch Guthrie in the all-wheel drive Pro R that is sitting third.
Yes.
So how is that? You know how an all-wheel drive takes off on the starting line, but these Class 10 cars are so fast when it comes to the open desert.
Yeah, the 10 cars are built well, and you can really drive them hard. The new R, obviously it's new, but they've got it figured out to where you can drive the heck out of them. And with that new 2-liter motor that they've got in those things, I think it's going to be a challenge for the 10 cars, especially at this race. Because 2 years ago when we raced with Luke in the Racer 2-wheel drive against Andy and Bryce, they put a minute on us in qualifying.
Yeah.
Which it's the same scenario, just in a 10 car. They're both 2 liters. The power to weight in Mitch Guthrie's car is definitely better than any of those 10 cars.
Yes.
And he's going to do what he needs to do here, but I have a feeling that they're going to put on a show in the race.
And it's going to be pretty sketchy when they all start in side by side, 30 seconds apart. As we're watching Brandon Arciero in 60-17. So these guys are running a pretty strong pace. Cameron Steele is out there. He's running multiple races.
How many races is he racing? Is it like 6 different
I
classes
think
or something?
6 different classes, which is ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
As a driver, you go in the next day with more desert knowledge and more comfort of, because I think that's one of the big nerve-wracking things the night before races, not knowing what's out there. Like you're like right now, you're going, man, they're changing the course, and I have all these notes and everything. But you have that knowledge, but the fatigue when you got to get up day after day after day, it's got to be hard on Cameron.
And as you can see, there is multiple lines, and we can parallel it. We can stay within 150 feet of the main line.
Right.
So wind is going to play a big role. There's not much wind out, but
We're
you can
seeing
see
a little
there's
bit.
a little bit.
So we're seeing a little bit more than we have. So you
Yes.
can see that is blowing off to the right, because you can see there's no line over to the far right, and you can see the car up in front of him. So he's probably about 10 seconds behind him, and the dust is actually clearing a little bit. But when you get that dust, especially with
I told. Oh.
Duncan?
Do they have them back?
Let me know when I'm back. I am back. So we are back. So talking about the course, Duncan. Some of the changes that are out there that are happening for you tomorrow. Today is just a long day for you, right? Just think about tomorrow. What did I do? What do I need to do? And all the different stuff. Where is Luke's head with all of this? Because he's had, to say a stellar couple years. He's been doing phenomenal, and you're a huge part of that team. Obviously, Mark, his dad, and everybody else that goes along with the crew. But where's his head right now with this race?
He's relaxing. And
now we lost you again.
Reviewing everything.
All right, so we're having some technical difficulties. We're not getting Duncan on there, but I'm going to stay going. We're going to be watching, as you see, 514. That is another part of the buggy class. That is the 5 Unlimited, which is a tube chassis, but they're restricted on wheel base and wheel the width between the car. Give me a test, Duncan. See if that's working.
Check.
All right, so we're back on. So let's finish our thought with you as we're watching these T3s as they come through.
But yeah, Luke's just relaxing, thinking about tomorrow, reviewing the notes. I give him the notes after we do pre-runs, and he visualizes it. We've done it, 4 times physically, but he'll go through the notes.
Did you video it all? Because I know when we qualify down in Mexico, he'll put a GoPro on and watch the lap over and over and over again. So even though you get that one sight lap in his head, he's seen it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, we did put a GoPro on there, especially for the qualifying area, but not for the main course, because it's just an 84-mile lap. Like, we just got done doing 600 miles. So remembering the 84, it's more of just repetition, hit your marks, and get after it.
And now we're watching the buggy, the 5 Unlimiteds, as they're starting to make their way in. I love this class because it hasn't changed in 20 years. or more. They did do some motors back and forth and this and that, and one of the guys came out with a Subaru and was pretty dominant. But pretty much everybody's sticking to the same motor platform, same wheelbase, same length. So what's cool about that? You build a car, you spend a bunch of money, you race it, you keep it well maintained. It sells pretty fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's a good entry level to get in and come have fun. And you're doing the same course that we're doing tomorrow. You know, it's a lot of fun to be able to come out and you have the same vehicle as everyone else in your class. It's like specifically the same vehicle. No one else is doing anything to those, so it's good.
So and you can tell me no comment if you are going to make changes, but are you going to run the Prologue exactly the way you're going to run both, or are you going to take a tire off or anything like that?
Nope, we're running it the way we're racing it.
So you know what the bumps are like, what everything is like. It doesn't change the balance of the vehicle.
Correct. There was a lot more we needed to do with the two-wheel drive when it came to setup, weight, gearing, just to give it every advantage as possible. But for tomorrow, no, we're going with what we raced with. And
so once again, we're back as we're watching. As we're back watching the buggies coming in, very, very tight field. And that's what we talked about. What's cool about the Class 5 Unlimited cars is that it comes down to driver. I mean, driver and setup. Obviously, you being with SCG, doing a lot of stuff. Here's the Grabowskis,
yep.
who Brandon
set that car up.
Yep. And so this is where they started in the 5 Unlimited stuff and have done such a great job. But now that kid is crushing it. I mean, the only weakness I see is when he gets on a microphone, he gets really, really quiet. Yeah. He's very confident, very outspoken on a one-to-one thing, but he gets a little bit nervous behind the mic. But man, is he a shoe! I mean, that footage of him and Kyle Jurgensen up at Laughlin, nose to tail at 100+ miles an hour over the road jump. Pretty crazy. So he's definitely, and he won this event last year in the T2. So he's definitely somebody to keep his eye on. So that Grabowski family has done so much in multiple platforms. Because a lot of times people are, I'm a buggy guy, I'm a truck guy, and they've bridged the gap, and now they're doing great in both.
Absolutely. It's a great family.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to let you go. Any final thoughts for you for tomorrow? Or so do you change anything? Do you get the IV? Do you do the hydration? Or you just got your routine and it's a day-to-day, another day for you?
Just another day. I'll drink a little more water today or have a Pedialyte, but I don't do the IVs and all that. It just makes you have to pee more to me. But yeah, no, regular. It's just regular day. Tomorrow will be fun. I feel like it's going to be a 250-mile qualify, but we're going to go out and have some fun and put it to them.
Well, it's going to be great because obviously both Bryce and Luke are in the same trucks. I mean, basically the Mason all-wheel drive, 1,000 horsepower. Now, who's your motor guy? Are you Dugan?
Nope, we're Croyer.
You're Croyer. Yep, so that's right. I talked to Kevin. So Kevin, I apologize for that. I knew that, and congratulations for Kevin on winning the Baja 1000 and the Mint 400. So good luck tomorrow. Tell Luke I said hey.
All right.
And go get him, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
We'll see you on the podium.
Sounds good.
All right, Bob, quit screwing around. Come back, get on the mic.
I'm not done with my nap.
All right, wake up. Bob, have you spent any time in a Class 5 Unlimited car?
Never in a 5 car.
Never.
I did a pre-run in one, but not in a 5.
Well,
I mean, it was a 5 car, not in a race. Pre-run.
Well, what I love about it is that it's got the beam front end.
Yep.
But they've done a lot with it to bring it around. I mean, it's not like the old beams where limited travel and stuff like that. They get a lot out of them, and also the tire technology. They're running the same tires front and rear to give you a little bit more. And one of the things that I've always talked about is Mickey Thompson. All of his crazy ideas are now part of it. He said, we have to have balloon tires. And they're like, no. And he's like, no, I'm going to make my own. He started making these giant monster tires. And he said, I'm going to take airplane shocks and put that on there. And look what we got.
Yeah,
we got 6.0s. We got 40-inch tires and stuff like that. So now as we're watching, we're getting towards the end of it. You're starting to see the time frames all the way. The top 25, as you said, we have 80 cars. But take a look at how many people are coming in. This is the traffic driving down Boone Road coming into King of the Hammers. So I was very fortunate to get here at 6 o'clock this morning to avoid this traffic. But it was like that last night. The line was all the way out to the highway. So a great year. Here we see Cameron Steele. He's now finished and qualified, which that's a very good time because he started towards the back. And I think that's the old truck that Heidi Steele, his wife, used to race. So Cameron has had a lot of seat time in that vehicle, so he's definitely going to be someone to keep an eye on.
Him doing 5 events this week is going to be fun to watch. I think he's going to do just fine. I know what you say, and I agree with you. It's going to be kind of tiring and taxing on him, and he's not 20 at all, or even close. But you know what? You learn how to endure. You learn how to ride in the desert. I bet Cameron's going to be able to do just fine. The machinery, that's going to be the part. I think that's what's going to be interesting.
Well, but the good news is he's running different vehicles each time, so he gets something new. But Cody is co-driving him. Which you look, he's qualified 21st, so he's done a great job. And as we're watching the different cars, the top 5 has stayed the same. But as you're looking down the line, we really want to see where Wayne Matlock is, because I think he can be a spoiler in this, and we got to keep an eye on him. But we had trouble, so I don't know if his tracker was off or something happened, but he had it. Hopefully he gets it going. There we see, I don't know who we're watching at the time.
I can't see the numbers at all, but.
Well, we've had some difficulties back and forth, so if you are just joining us, this is the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. My name is Ricky Johnson, along with Bob Bauer. We have Miles, Pam, Tiffany running in the different parts of the world in Johnson Valley right now. We'll be throwing it to them for different insights on the teams and everything that's going. They did push the start time of the Desert Challenge today to 11 o'clock. It was supposed to be 10 o'clock, but they figured it would be a little bit tough. And actually, as you can see, it's getting closer and closer. We got to get everybody off the course and start this race. So right now it is 10:43. So we're looking at a start time of around 15 minutes for this buggy challenge to take off. So Bob, we're getting a little wind, but not really as much as we'd like.
You know, coming up midday, we should get something, hopefully. But I don't think it's going to turn out very well, because once all those cars get out there all together and start really flying around, I think it's just going to go IFR.
Well, and the drivers, they have to think about it, because they're starting side by side 30 seconds apart, so the dust is going to be pretty hectic, and you're racing back and forth. So if you do have a problem, you got to make sure that you get yourself off the course to keep from the other drivers, because the other drivers are going to, they can, it's like driving in fog. They can drive sometimes 30, 40 miles an hour, even though they can't see very well.
That's
and
exactly right.
That's a closing ratio pretty quick if somebody stopped on the course. So obviously, we're going to do everything we can to keep the driver safe, but we're out here to race.
And things happen so fast when they go wrong. Nothing bad happens slowly. That's a fact. So we'll have to see how that's going to turn out. Let's ask. Here's an idea. Mr. Go After It. Mm-hmm. Leave my foot planted in it.
Well, yeah. So
and versus the guy who says, I think I'll think my way through this deal.
Yep.
So talk to me about what's going to happen out there.
Well,
if it was Ricky driving, that's what I'm saying.
Well, if I'm one of the front two, if I'm Chase Warren or Winslow, I want the whole shot, because if I can get that gap, the speed that I can carry is unbelievable, because 30 seconds behind, the dust is going to hang.
Yes.
And so you want to be patient, but you have to capitalize on any mistake that somebody makes. So I don't think anybody's a fan of dust.
No.
But I can drive in it, but I can't touch anybody that has clear air. We went out with the all-wheel drive trophy truck and put my son Luke Johnson in a trophy truck spec, and I could never get close enough to hit him. And we went out because we were working with Larry on driving in dust and how to help him get more comfortable. We're talking about Larry Connor in the Team C truck, and I couldn't get within 40 car lengths of him, and with way more horsepower, all-wheel drive, and
everything going for you.
So you have to go to Larry Ragland told me. And even though I call Larry Rosser Larry Ragland at the Mint, Larry Rosser told me you have to stand in line and wait. That's right, 3 times I did that. That you have to wait your turn and wait for somebody to make a mistake, and that's very, very hard to do. But sometimes you can be 100 miles in the dust and somebody makes a mistake, and there you go. So it's a race. It's just as dusty for everybody except number one, until, as we just heard from Duncan, that when they start lapping other cars, the second lap, it's going to come up on them. So craziness. But as you can see, almost everybody is in. We are 14 minutes away from the start of the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. This is day one. This has got the buggies and the TrophyLites and also the UTVs. So this is all open wheels except the TrophyLites. And but once again, we have some different people down in the pits. And so Miles, you got Cameron Steele. Can you ask him about how many classes he's running this week? So Miles, take it away.
So Cameron, you're down here. You just finished this race. You're racing almost every single day. Is that good for your memory, or is it hard on the body? What's it feel like out there?
We are racing every single day. With the qualifying, we'll be in every race. It's not really hard on the body. I train on my dirt bike, or at least I pretend to. And I think it's just good muscle memory, good driving. It was kind of funny. I was in the 1450, or our old little V6 truck today, and we were smashing. And sometimes you got to remember you're not in the trophy truck. So I had to collect it back in one time there. That got me, I was awake for a second for sure. I was like,
a little bit of overdriving from time to time, right?
Try never to overdrive, but with the I-beams sometimes, because it's old, we're talking old school with the I-beams. And you lean into the corner, and if there's a big bump coming out of it, it's hard to bring the car back up to level before you hit it. So if you hit it with the I-beam, it just loads it so hard. And I don't know, it's just fun. My wife and Renee Bruger is working on it right now. They won 5 championships. So it's an incredible truck. It's just kind of been sitting as a pre-runner, and once in a while we bring it out to race, and today racing T3 is just super fun.
So give us a quick little rundown on that 33-mile Prologue, because that's going to be your first lap also. And is it getting chewed up yet, or how's it going out there?
Well, for sure, that's one thing that people need to know is the desert's ever changing, right? It doesn't matter. If one car goes through in front of you, it's changed. So the rocks have moved. The ruts are getting way bigger. It's pretty substantial. I was really surprised from what I saw at the end of last night. I came in just before dark driving that last section, and just from these the buggies and the 5 cars and the UTVs, it's dug this giant trench right down the main line. So we try to shift in and out of the line. In some places we made sure we were going wide and got out of the berms and
That is Cameron Steele, obviously previous Baja 1000 winner. Has done everything. I know he got 3rd this year. Him and Ryan Arciero, they did a phenomenal job. And also Reese Millen. So they had 3 drivers for that. And so now he's out here once again running all this. And I love the technical side that he's saying. Because it's an old I-beam. It's a Class 7, but it's an I-beam front, and him saying the difference on how when you come through a corner, what an I-beam does to the chassis and changing everything versus individual like an A-arms in the front, where it works independently. Even if you have a sway bar, not as much, because it does start to bring in the other part of the chassis. But that just shows you the diversity of Cameron Steele. Like I said, he started boogie boards, then he went to freestyle, then he raced motocross, raced desert, rides motorcycles still, raced trophy trucks. He was leading the main King of the Hammers race, Ultra 4 last year. So it's pretty cool to listen to the technical side that he's bringing.
And on top of that, he's one heck of an ambassador for our sport. In fact, we're going to be working together. He and I are calling the Class 11 race tonight. So he's going to get out of his TrophyLite, or out of this damn race car, and he's going to go racing again tonight just because he loves it. He's got passion.
And this is Brandon Arciero that is kind of in the same class as him, and Brandon is bringing it in. He's got a couple more turns, and we're getting down towards the end of the field. So yeah, we only have a couple other. So we got about 8 trucks left after Brandon. So and we're just getting down to the wire. So as they finish, it will probably be a little bit delayed because we got to make sure that everybody's off the course before we start the next race and give them a little time to get ready. But with his 80 cars going 2 by 2 every 30 seconds, it's going to be quite quite a race at the beginning.
Let's do commercial.
Alrighty, so if you are just joining us, once again, this is the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster.
Renowned worldwide for reliability, the ARB air locker is a must-have for off-road drivers, including rock crawlers, overlanders, and racers. With over 100 applications, ARB air lockers gives your vehicle the traction you need to tackle virtually any challenge with the flip of a switch.
PCI Race Radio is the leader in off-road communications since 1972. Our equipment was developed for racing in Baja, perfected for enjoying the weekend with family and friends. Stay in touch with our track stereo intercoms, two-way radios, satellite communications, helmets and headsets. Find new adventures with GPS. Breathe clean air with Race Air Fresh Air Systems. PCI has the highest quality communications, navigation, and safety equipment, backed by the best support in the industry. Find us at hundreds of events each year, supporting our equipment on site and providing the PCI Weatherman Relay. See you in the desert.
tradition of performance. For over 60 years, a brand synonymous with VWs. Known around the world for quality, speed, and innovation. IMPI, the first in VW speed equipment.
Rocks, sand, heat. Life off-road is tough. We wouldn't have it any other way. If AMSOIL products are designed for this kind of punishment, think about what they can do for your daily driver. Upgrade to AMSOIL protection today and get fast free shipping from AMSOIL.com.
Welcome back to the Toyo Tires Desert Challenge presented by Monster Energy. I'm Ricky Johnson along with Bob Bauer in the booth. Bob, everybody is done with the Prologue. It started out, it was every 2 minutes one driver would go.
Yep.
We saw the guys that actually were unbelievable. I think it was Chase Warren. It was the fastest qualifier, almost a minute faster than second place. But now we're going 2 by 2 every 30 seconds. What does that do for these racers?
Well, I'm going to tie into what you've been saying all morning long, and that is the all-wheel drives are going to get the jump on the not all-wheel drives right away. And if you're side-by-side, that's going to be clear air for a guy. So,
well, and that's what we saw in third place. Mitch Guthrie Jr. is in that Pro R Polaris, so there's a good chance for him to get a run coming off. And we talked to Wayne Matlock, and he said the bigger motor, the longer wheelbase in the Class 10 car, it gets him in the fast desert. So
I'm putting my money on the
Pro R.
I changed my mind. Here's why. I think the.
But
the
I already have the
B2s
money where it was, so you can say it, but if you lose it, I'm going to keep it.
Oh God. Okay.
All right. So what's your thoughts? I'm sorry.
Well, thoughts are, guys are going to get lined up now and find out how they really did in sequence. I think this really doesn't help, or this. How do we say this positive? It doesn't help the UTV world, because those 10 cars, I think, when they get to this year's race course, which has been reported to us as being a lot faster, and
Yes.
a lot of obstacles are gone that weren't, were problems last year. So I think that just favors the B2s that much more, because they're nimble, because they're fast, and there's a lot of fast on this desert course. That's what I think.
I can't agree with you more. Is that, as we're watching replay from earlier today, where this is how the Prologue started. So if you're not familiar, Prologue, that's what they call it over in Europe and in Dakar and stuff like that, is that it's a qualifier.
Yep.
But it counts. So the time that you have, and roughly the fast guys, if you're looking over on the right side of your screen, Chase Warren was a 30. So that number 1 is not 1 hour and 30. That was 1 lap. So 30 minutes and 50 seconds. Winslow second with 31:09. Mitch Guthrie Jr. in that Pro R with a 31:31. Everly with a 31:33. And Haas, I think is how you say that, and I apologize if I'm getting it wrong, with a 31:35. So with that being said, these drivers all have to go side by side and start. So it becomes, I think, not so much of a sprint as it becomes more of a desert race now, because we have multiple laps. They are going to have to stop for fuel. Hopefully, then, if they have to change a tire, and there's some places to get bottlenecks and stuff like that. So it becomes a more, now it's a race and not a qualifier.
Well, I think that when you mention tire change, it's going to be because they hurt a tire, not because the tire wears out.
No, you're not going to wear out a tire.
Even the T2s who have some pretty good horsepower are not going to burn through their rubber on this 284 mile or 200 mile lap or whatever we're doing here.
And what you're watching right now on the main screen, if you're just tuning in, this is from earlier, from when the cars were going out. That's Kristen Matlock. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. Yes, that is. That's Kristen Matlock. She, unfortunately, their radiator froze solid because they weren't ready for it. They're Southern California. They live down in El Cajon. They didn't have to worry about that. But up here in the high desert, it got down below freezing last night. It was very, very cold.
This is
they had water wetter in there to help them when it gets hotter to make the water flow more smoothly and more efficient. But what happened was they froze and they were out.
It blew a head gasket. Doggone it. Which I think probably takes them out for the weekend, or for the week. I don't know. Do they? What are the rules about motor changes in Ultra Ford?
Well,
I don't know those rules.
To get out there and change that. And then we also saw Brandon Sims. So here we see Kristen Matlock over to the side, and we see Brandon Sims, who lost a belt. His co-driver had to run in about a quarter of a mile, grab it, and change it. And here we see the drivers changing that, which normally they have